about to go deep with Dan Good. Hey, we going, brother?
Hey, good. Is that us?
Yeah, that's us, man. JR Hill, welcome to the Dan Good experience. No, going deep with Dan Good.
Yeah, let's go real deep.
Okay, let's do it.
How deep you want to go, baby?
Well, let's push the limits on it, eh?
Let's just go real deep. Oh, so deep.
What's been happening, man? You just finished editing Western Culture, right? Your latest feature film?
Yeah. So what is that? 32 edits, I believe.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that. It might be like 30, 31. But because of all this COVID shit that's been going on, I just thought, well, I may as well really like take my time with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like a year's worth of editing, and now we've got sound design going on, score going on. We've got a really good musician designing the score, and we sat down. I showed him a rough cut of the film, and obviously I showed shout out to Captain Sound Eagle is the nickname I gave him, Richard, who you've worked with. Richard Lawton, who you've worked with as well. What a great guy he is.
Yeah, he's awesome, man. Yeah, he really gets stuck in. Yeah,
really gets stuck in. Great guy, and real professional too.
Yeah, completely agree.
So I showed him a rough cut, and he's doing the sound right now, like the dialogue and the Foley and all that. And then we've got this fella doing the score, and he's a fantastic musician. So we'll see where we go with that. I'm fairly certain he's going to put forth an awesome score, because we sat down and he watched the film. And he was even saying that because he's been through university with music, he was saying that even with university, they learn the hero's journey. You know what that is, right?
Yeah.
With Joseph Campbell.
Yeah.
Shout out Joseph Campbell, our greatest mythologist of all time.
Yeah.
So they learn that in music as well, because there's a element of story structure to a song.
Yeah.
So he said that just shone through massively with the structure of the film, and I was just like, yeah, it did.
You know it,
because you know me, bro. I'm studied relentlessly with story structure. And all mythology and all that stuff. So So I think we're at a place now where June, July is a real possibility. So we've got the sound design to take care of, and that is encompassing both the actual sound and then the music, the score as well.
Yeah.
And we've got like two-thirds, three-quarters of the visual effects done. So there's a few more that are a little bit tricky that I'm going to have to outsource someone like a little bit more, what's the word?
Technical
seasoned,
seasoned
with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you don't play with that kind of stuff though. Eh? Like
exactly.
it really shows if you're not like used to using special effects and things like that in the edit. Yeah, definitely can show. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And so there's a couple of dudes I've had helping me with the special effects. Sorry, visual effects.
Yeah.
Visual effects. Special effects is what you do on, in the scene. Like visual effects is what is done digitally
to enhance. Yeah.
Did I say special effects or visual?
I might have said that.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Too many beers already.
We are well lubricated. We might point that out.
Very well lubricated.
Just
ready to go deep. Ready to go deep because we're lubricated. So yeah, there's a few visual effects that are like a little bit more intense.
Yeah.
And a couple of the guys I've been working with could do it, but it's like the time's just like, because they've got day jobs and stuff. So it's like, I'm going to have to outsource someone that does that, in-house, and they've just got guys that do that a little bit more intensely and more often as a profession, and they'll get it done faster.
Yeah.
So, because otherwise we'll be here till August, September, and I'm still aiming for that June, July release. And I tell you what, bro, it's a very immaculate film, man. It's so immaculate, like in terms of the performances, the story, the structure, and then also like the cinematography, and all things considered. It's like, I'm so happy with it. It's such an immaculate film. There's just a few little bits to tweak, and then
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I can't wait to see it. So premiere June, July, you're aiming
You'll
for?
Be there, right?
Yeah, man, I'll be there. There's so many people that I know on that film.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it. Yeah, I can't wait to see the performances put together. I mean, we recently had Andrew on the podcast and talked a lot about Western culture that he was a part of, obviously, with you, and couldn't have spoken more highly about you, leadership role and everything that you went through on that production. But we can get into that a bit more later. But why don't you give us a little rundown on the film? I know Andrew told us about it, but it's better to hear it from the writer, director, the guy at the helm. Yeah.
So when I started writing it, I was looking to do more of a genre film because, you know, the first film I did, obviously you were a big part of that. You're one of the main actors, not the lead actor, but one of the main actors. And you did a fantastic job, by the way.
Appreciate it, bro.
Like I watched that film again recently and I was like, you know, that's a good film. Like I just enjoyed that experience. And yeah, you were fantastic in it, and so was everyone. But this one is even like more of a step up in quality in terms of everything. Like all the performances, me, like having been there, done that. You know, I felt I did a lot better job. Although I'm still like, there's only a couple of things I feel I'm real proficient at. The rest I'm kind of like still, I don't feel I'm very great at. You know, like I feel I'm very, very proficient at writing and more recently editing, but everything else I'm kind of like, I don't know, like I'm directing. It's like, I am a director, but it's like, geez, I could be a lot better, you know.
The humble pursuit to please yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, as a creative,
Don't get me wrong, always learning still with editing and writing, but I just feel like I'm more naturally suited and more proficient at that naturally. But other areas I really do need to pick my game up. But on this particular film, it was very challenging and we did a great job, everyone involved. And yeah, so with our first film, that's what I was getting at. It was more kind of like the bridge between art, right? And I'm still bridging art and commerce. That's the way I am. Not fully commercial, you know, like I still want to have that artistic element. And with our, like my first film, our film that we did together, that was like more of a like throw it out there and do something like I wanted to do, like artistic, kind of abstract, I suppose. This is this particular film, Western Culture now, which was my second feature. I went for a genre film and I was trying to land in between Chinatown, 1979 Oscar winner with Jack Nicholson and Faye Dunaway, and geez, I forget the year. I think it might have been 1994 or 1997. The film Seven with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman.
Terrific film. Yeah,
terrific film.
I watched it recently again. Yeah,
did you?
Yeah, dude, it's intense, especially when he opens up that bag with
what's in the box?
Yeah,
what's in the box?
Yeah, intense.
I could listen to Morgan Freeman all day, that voice too, and I could look at Brad Pitt's face all day.
Who couldn't? Yeah,
I could look at yours too. You're right up there too with the beauty aspect, bro. Yeah, so I was kind of trying to land in between there in terms of genre, and it's like, well, genre is more marketable, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I was going with that, and still like maintaining my own style, you know, the J.R. Hill style that I want to become synonymous throughout film eventually when I dominate and become one of the greats, which is what I'm there for. And I've come to understand it's a long game.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just a puppy, and it's like my DOP shout out to Jake Lawler.
Jakey,
you know, I love you. He was just saying, oh man, like you're so far ahead of the curve, having done 2 feature films at the age of 36 or 35 when we were having that conversation. So he was saying that when we were in my nice saltwater pool at the house I just bought, having a beer, you know, just a little bit homoerotic, but that's okay.
Between brothers.
Between brothers.
Good. Yeah.
It's not gay if you're brothers, right? Or maybe it is. But like the film itself is genre specific, I suppose you could say, to a crime drama. Yeah. Like Chinatown and like Seven, and the mystery element to it as well. But then there's a certain point where the audience catches up, and then dramatic irony starts to come in because they know more about what's going on than the actual characters. So we go from mystery to dramatic irony, a big shift. And that happens more around closer to the midpoint of the story. You know, structurally it's very sound.
Where the audience starts to actually realize more what's going on than the characters that play on screen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's dramatic irony.
Yeah.
Dramatic irony. Am I speaking England correctly?
Fine. You got good English.
Good English. So yeah, we've got like a crime drama with mystery elements.
Yeah.
And basically it's two detectives. And we got Talia Jade Holt and Layla Tharka to play the two leads, and both ladies, and absolutely magnificent thespians. Like it's the old English word for a performer or actor, or actresses or actors. I don't know what the vernacular is these days.
It's a bit tough, isn't it? But
I usually say actresses or thespians, or actors and
actresses seems to be a pretty good stamp on it, right?
But gender specificity, everyone's got their own views on that stuff. Anyway, so as far as I'm concerned, it was like two actresses as the leads. And that wasn't like a play for anything for me. It was like people like, oh, that's so good that you're doing that.
Leading ladies, yeah.
Everyone's like, it's so good because we need more female leads, which I do agree with, like 100%. We need more female leads, and we need more female directors and all that. And I like to think I'm in touch with my feminine side, but the actual reason I did it was not because of those reasons. The reason I did that is because the talent pool in Queensland is like so skewed towards that, like the amount of good actresses we have, as opposed to studs, those studs that are good actors and just a leading man, like it's probably tenfold. Like there's just that much talent. So I was like, well, if I'm going to be smart, I'm going to write a script, and it's the right time to do it potentially with, people more hungry for content with female leads, which is, fantastic. But, I feel like anyone should make whatever film they want, whether it's all females or mixture. I usually aim for diversity in my pictures, but because I'm a diverse guy myself, being, partly Indigenous and partly white as well, and a mixture of different European races and a mixture of Māori. So it's like, and even my circles in West Auckland were very, very diverse. My best mates growing up were I had an Indian best mate, a Chinese best mate, although Kiwis, but Chinese and Indian descent, and even Islander descent, other Māori like myself and white people. So it's like, that's what I'm used to, and even the school I went to. But so I like diversity in my pictures, but it's not like a play for that per se. It's But I went in that direction because like the talent pool with the actresses in Queensland is just phenomenal. Like we've got a bunch of stars there just that haven't been unearthed yet.
I've experienced it myself in a lot of workshops, and on set, on films and everything. And, the two ladies that you're talking about that, I've had a lot to do with Talia in certain films. And I think on the first film, Alpha Masji, got you in touch with Layla as well. She auditioned for the same role. So did Talia actually on the first one. Yeah, they
did.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I actually watched Talia's audition back, and she was actually like the best performer for that role. Like in terms of her New York accent was just phenomenal. And I went with Tara. Shout out to Tara, wherever she is.
Great actress in herself.
Great actress herself. But you know how it is. It's like, that's a problem in a way, or it's not a problem. Pardon me. It's not a problem, but it's a reality. You can turn up and potentially be the best performer at that audition, but it's like someone might be more suited to the role that actually didn't perform necessarily as good as you. I felt as if through the auditioners and auditionees of Alpha Masky, my first film, Beau was like the best performer, but Jamie was obviously a fit for Gallo, the lead, right? Like he just embodied it.
Yeah.
But Beau was just fantastic with his like performance in the audition room, and I felt like Talia was the same with Alpha Masky, but she missed out just. It was between her, Tara, and Monica, who ended up playing a support role anyway.
Yeah.
So I'd seen a lot of Talia, and then we did that song video clip together, didn't we? Where Talia was with you on that. Shout out to what is it? Monsters of the Midnight Sun.
Yeah,
they've broken up now.
Oh, really?
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But that was cool.
That was cool.
We actually filmed a lot of that here, didn't we?
We filmed a little bits. Yeah, little bits on the couch there.
And stuff.
Yeah, she was pregnant Mrs. Yeah,
she played your pregnant Mrs. But anyway, when I was writing this film, I actually thought about her as as like one of the leads, and I thought about Layla as well. So as I was writing it, so so I mean, and then they turned up and they actually performed at such a high level. I was like, I actually envisaged this, them actually, but I think we auditioned over like, would have been 60, 70 actresses, and I think considered over 200. A lot of people were applying, a lot of actresses applying, and Talia just smashed it, man.
Oh, she's amazing. Like, and she really puts the effort in to get the character and whatever you give to her. Like, I know I've called her up on a moment's notice, well, not a moment's notice, like I've had her in mind because I know what she's going to bring to the table. She's always well prepared and brings an amazing performance to the table. Like, you can always count on her to do that.
Like, the difference between her best and her worst is not very big. Like, so like her worst will still be way above status quo, and her best is like in the stratosphere. I've never worked with an actor or an actress that has performed as well that I've seen, in my opinion. Like, she was just absolutely phenomenal. And I tell you what, so she played the role of Heidi, which is technically the lead, and then Jackie is the co-lead, who Layla played. And it was important for me to get an Indigenous person in that role, an Australian Indigenous person, an Aboriginal person, or First Nations person, because I wanted to go along the first scene. Like, wow, actually, it's not the first scene, but it's one of like the first major scenes in the film. It's like an ode to the Royale with cheese scene in Pulp Fiction. And I was like, it has to be a black chick and a white chick. So it's like the mirrored opposite of that, but in my own way. But that was like the inspiration for that scene, and I was like, it'd be cool if we've got like that, and Layla just came in and just blew us away at the auditions as well. So, and we had them, and then automatically their chemistry was fantastic as the two leads, and so they play two detectives that uncover a web of murders, ritualistic kind of murders. Kind of like in a way like Seven, but in a completely different tangent. And it's very specific, the direction I've gone in, but with this particular film. But it's like a crime drama that is mysterious, but then like goes into like massive dramatic irony, which I feel is like great, because then like you draw the audience in with mystery, and then with the dramatic irony, they're like the gods of the universe that oversee these characters, and they know more than them, so that it creates empathy more so, and then so it's like to a point they're learning as well as the characters, and then all of a sudden they know more. And that's dramatic irony. So, and then it turns out to go, I don't think I should give away too much in terms of what happened specifically. But I don't know. Does that sound pretty clear to you? Like the description, I could probably.
I think just a general outline of the film would be pretty good, just so people know what's to come with it. Just a general outline of the actual film itself.
So these two detectives uncover a web of ritualistic murders, and as it turns out, it's connected to like more high up people in society, as in the police and politicians and whatnot. So it's like they don't even know where they're at by the end. It's like, Jesus, how deep does this shit go? And it's all connected. And it basically follows drug and sex trafficking of like there's a third element as well, which I like to go down those lines, like a three-pronged attack. So we've got like these other characters that are vigilantes that are taking down a lot of these, what you'd call institutional parasites. and people connected to this dark web of drug and sex trafficking. So they're kind of uncovering, all these crimes and getting to the bottom of it. It's like a quintessential crime drama in that respect.
Okay.
But see, it's like with Seven, it's like following kind of like religiously motivated murders. And we kind of have that too.
Okay.
Our vigilantes are religious and they're killing all the people that they believe are satanic. And then obviously our lead characters are following this journey. Pardon me. Our lead characters are following this journey as detectives uncovering what the audience is uncovering until the audience like sees more with the different subplots and is like, oh shit. So it's like it's an awesome film. It's a hell of a film, so with Seven, it's kind of like the religious motivated murders, but it's kind of like a little bit more tightly constructed. This is a little bit more like the outer reaches of this go way further into society in a way. And then with Chinatown, that film, which is a classic of Jack Nicholson and Faye Dunaway, the 1979 Oscar winner there, that was used as inspiration. But the mysterious elements of that have maintained right to the end. We don't really have that, like the audience really knows by the end what's going on, but they don't know what's going to happen. And so I don't know, does that explain it to you? Does that make sense? So it's
like the higher power, like you say politicians and police and things like that, and there's like the
elites.
Little, I wouldn't say, because it's a bit of a name word, Illuminati sort of conspiracy sort of side of things, but not so much that, but just hierarchies in power, using their power to control situations and get the upper hand on society and things that they're trying to accomplish.
People high up getting away with shit, which let's be honest, that happens.
Always happens,
it's not so much on the nose with any of that stuff. No real, although there is imagery that might be thought of as Masonic. Some of the themes definitely would be thought of that way, but to me it's deeper.
And that's more to imply something for the audience to see and then to think further within what's going on.
Yes, and also it's like, you go deep enough backwards through history with symbols and themes that may be thought of as Masonic. It's actually, you go further back and they're even like have a deeper complexity to them. It's like, not that we have the Nazi symbol in this, we don't, but it's like, that symbol meant something different before Hitler got a hold of it and turned it into what he wanted to. It was a symbol that was around before then. So it's like, not to that extreme, but it's like there's certain symbols there that reflect certain themes, but are also like esoteric and perennial symbols. So I mean, that's a cool thing about film, you have a dig at it, and then people will actually also make their own interpretations from the certain themes if it's rich enough in complexity.
Exactly. And that's a film for you, right? It provokes the imagination, it provokes thought, it provokes society and culture and what they determine it as, and people, and that's a film, that's art, right?
That's art.
Everyone interprets it a different way, and you hope they follow the storyline along the way that you're trying to visually explain it. But people find their own narratives, and sometimes that's better though, right, than just a studio film that's just going to throw it out there and there's bangs and there's hot chicks and there's like the leading man, and all that sort of thing that can put up and visually is amazing, with a lot of money spent into a big budget film that has illustrious sets and things like that. And it's a good ride. It's a good film, and they have their place in the industry. But when you're making art in a different manner, a real film, it's got to have that grit and that aspect and that thought-provoking essence to the film, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a film, especially something that everybody enjoys, working on, and everybody comes together on it. That's a real film.
Yeah,
it's a body.
A real film does that, like asks questions, provokes these things. And in that respect, like this is still a very genre, like it's a genre specific film, and so in that sense it's very marketable, but it's also still abstract as opposed to your quintessential studio film.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a little bit more left field with a lot of the themes and even the direction we take it, and then also obviously our cast. Very diverse.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Which you have a lot of parts of a lot of your films that you've done previous to now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have like a diverse cast a lot. But that's culturally what happens in this day and age, right? Like there's so many, mixed religions, mixed
viewpoints.
Mixed viewpoints, mixed, everything cultures. Is mixed these days. Like cultures have been just embodied and combined, to make something different now. I mean, it comes along with time, these things develop, and it's just a part of our makeup now as a world and as a species.
Yeah. And it's good. I think we're in a better place now. Like, see, my grandmother was like indigenous as Kiwi, Māori. They used to smack her if she'd speak Māori in school. So it was very racist, white-centric, European-centric time, but it's different now, I feel.
Was that 70s? Or?
Oh, no. That would have been 40s.
Oh, shit.
In New
Okay.
Zealand,
Wow.
She was born in 1933.
Okay.
1933, 1934, maybe 1932, something like that. I think my nana was born. So the funny thing is, it's like I got to know about this very early in life. So my genetic background is like a mixture of Māori with European races, and I've got Viking genes as well, like Norwegian, Danish. So it's like a hell of a mixture, isn't it?
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, my nana, as I called her, back when I was young. And she used to tell me about a lot of the stuff. We'd actually sit there and she'd drink her cup of tea. I'd have like a lemonade, and we'd eat Cameo creams on like a Sunday because mum and my whole family are just big race heads, like big motor heads, big, what do you call them, petrol heads.
Yeah.
I love their racing, and that mum was at the track every Saturday, sometimes even Sunday, get on the piss and watch racing. And sometimes my uncles were racing. I just hated it.
Yeah.
I know I'm more of a field athlete, as it turns out. Love my rugby league and my cricket and stuff like that. But I actually I was smart enough at the age of 3 years old to learn my nana's number and call her. I'm like, Nana, I don't want to go to racing. Can you come and get me? And like my papa, who's still alive, shout out to my papa. He's got Alzheimer's now, the poor bastard. He's in his 80s, but he's led a good life, and he's a great guy. He'd just show up, and he'd be at the doorstep, and Mum would be like, "What are you doing here, Dad?" And he'd be like, "I'm here to pick Jeremy up. He called us." And Nana would just wait in the car.
Yeah.
And Mum would be like, "Oh, okay." Sweet as, see you, son, love you. And I'd sit there, like they'd go to racing, Mum and my sister, and with all the rest of my family, and I'd be with Nana, swim in her pool, eat junk food, and watch, like Sunday we'd always watch, you remember Channel 1 in New Zealand back in the day, and they had cinema on a Sunday afternoon?
Oh, I do, vaguely, yeah.
So I would sit there and watch that.
Yeah.
So I think that might have even been like somewhat an experience that kind of led me in this direction.
Yeah, early. For sure, yeah. Especially as a young kid, in the developed brain, like having that sort of influence on you. Yeah, for sure. Because obviously we're a lot more malleable when we're younger, 100%. The mind. Yeah. So that definitely has play in the makeup of who you are and what 100%. You turn out to be and how you follow things. Yeah.
And so I was more predisposed. She'd tell me about all that stuff that she had to put up with growing up. Yeah. The racism and stuff, and that's very unfortunate. But I feel like now obviously racism still exists, but I feel like we're in a good time of awareness. Like there's still a lot of places, in society that we need a lot of fixing. Obviously, I think that's probably always going to be the case. But we're in a great place now where I feel like, at least in Australia and New Zealand, where it's just great for all people involved. There's an awareness of these things, and there's an acceptance. I feel like Australia probably still has a long way to go in comparison to New Zealand with their Indigenous relations. But, as far as I'm concerned, that's somewhat their business, as you know. But
yeah, we're living in their country, aren't we? And,
we are,
there's a lot of progress. So there is
a lot of progress.
Like they're ahead in some areas and they're behind in others. You know,
exactly.
And that might be one that's highlighted. Yeah,
100%. I still feel like Australia is, like, in my experience and in my opinion, is a great society. And you know what? It's funny when I meet Aboriginal people and First Nations people. They love me. They see that I'm Māori, and they just like I have a connection, and it's really cool. And anyway, so it was in this particular film, it was like kind of like the Samuel L. Jackson and the John Travolta, but reversed gender wise. And I tell you what, you see, it's like they call that scene in Pulp Fiction the Royale with Cheese scene.
Yeah.
My scene is cafe culture with Talia and Layla and all their characters, Jackie and Heidi. And you get to really see the lighter side of their characters during that first scene of the film, which I hope all the people out there get to see. And it's kind of like, to me, it's like that dynamic, but it was, like an Indigenous and a white Aussie girl. And those two they really did knock it out of the ballpark, man. Like, I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. Like
the levels they got to. And, oh man, I can't wait for you to see that.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it, man. Like,
I know you're a massive connoisseur of the arts, so...
I'm going to lap it up, like, and I can't wait to see the performances by everyone, because I've spoken to several people on the podcast and obviously outside of it that have been a part of this film. And yeah, I'm just, and I like the fact that I don't know a lot about it, you know, like Andrew told me a few things, but he was vague.
Yeah.
And you've told me a few things, you know, but it's just
a little bit vague too.
Yeah, very much so. And I like that important, because I like to make up my own thing with when I'm watching something, and I always will anyway, no matter what anyone says. It's just like a critic of a film. Yes. 100,000 people say there's this film shit. What if I gotta watch that for myself, you know? And I'll probably find something in it that I think's fantastic, you know? And yeah, it's your own interpretation, like we were just saying before. And that's the best part about art.
Can't please everybody.
Yeah, exactly. There's one thing you said before, that you had those ladies in mind when you were writing the script. Yeah. Is that something that really holds part for you for a writer? Because I know I've read a lot of your scripts and stuff like that. We've done a lot of films together. And in my opinion, fantastic writer, for the record.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you, yeah.
Anyone gets the privilege to work on this man's set, take it.
Thank you, bro. Yeah.
But is that something for you when you're writing, that when you really visualize someone playing this character, you have a sort of connection and you write that on the page or type it, you know? Is that for you, like, does it stand, or would you consider other people, you know, for the roles? Or is it just something like that connection to the character, connection to when you're writing it, you're like, you can't see it any other way, you know?
Yes and no. Like, sometimes I'm writing a role and someone just is there. But that doesn't always end up that way. You get to realize, as a producer and director, which I do both of as well, for whatever reason, it's like a very circular motion going through this industry. Like you I consider like a great friend of mine, but we've even had, like, I've written scripts where I've been thinking about you and it's ended up being a different direction, which thespians learn to understand. It's a noble quest, but Jesus, like, even the best people that act learn to deal with levels of rejection, which must be tough, and it makes it such a noble quest. But so it's one of those things. Like, sometimes I'm writing a character and I just think, oh, that's that person that I know, but we might end up, I'm still open. It's like, well, we're going to have to cast for this, and we might go in a different direction, because that's the thing about art and film. I feel it's like, even as a producer and director and a writer, where I'm like so in control and in charge of the story, there's elements that happen that just are way out of your control.
Yeah. That's a beautiful part of it.
That's a beautiful part of it, that realm, like, where you draw from.
Yeah. Because you can think of someone in an energy and persona, and you're just putting that into a thing, you know, a living thing that, well, in turn is going to be played into a living thing, but it might just be that specific energy or specific energy, persona, just the way they move, the way they do things, just went into that character, you know, and that helped you to develop that character and the way you wanted it to, but it might not necessarily get cast that way. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And then people might turn up and just dazzle you and it's like someone you never knew existed.
And didn't see it before, yeah.
It's like, how could you know that existed,
Yeah.
that person that can embody that specific character? And that's why I feel like it is as an actor or an actress or a thespian. It's like, you know, you get to a level where you're in control of your craft and you're a great performer, but it's like you might turn up and dazzle someone and just embody that specific role, where it's like, in a way, it's like lucky that that role was designed, but then again, it's not luck because you're at the top of your game and you just happen to suit that. And I think there's many examples throughout time of like people that have shot straight to the top because like there's been that one iconic role that comes up and they've somehow embodied it, and then that just catches on for whatever reason in television or cinema. And yeah, so it's like there are other characters within this film that I had certain people in mind for, and we ended up going in a different direction. Like Andrew, I had Bo in mind for his role, but Andrew ended up embodying that character. And I tell you what, like he plays a bad guy, and I tell you what, it's like he was so phenomenal. It's like Jesus, bro. Like it's like even like you like editing it, you kind of you get to a certain point where you've gone through the scene hundreds or thousands of times, and you compartmentalize how brutal the scene is. But then you sit back and you watch an edit of the film, you're just like, holy fuck, like that's brutal.
Yeah.
And then people like certain people are able to embody like some pretty horrendous, despicable characters, and you need that. And it's like, geez, but like that person's such a nice guy, or that person's such a nice, chick or whatever. But it's like, wow, that's acting, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like they get to levels, they get to levels, and it's just like, whew. And even like you feel it on set. And that's the funny thing too. It's like you might have a take during a certain scene on set, and you're just feeling what they did. But then you sit down in the editing room, and another one all of a sudden springs up. So that just shows you how little you maybe do know as a producer director, and you need to let things have a level of openness and let things kind of just come up from the abyss, which I feel like is where you draw a lot of stuff from as an artist too. It's like, where does that come from? Yeah. When you're writing or when you're performing, it's like, where does that come from? The void. You pull it from there. So it's like you need to stay open, like a screenplay is a blueprint, but you need to stay open and let the performers, the actors, the thespians do what they do.
Yeah, that also is a learning curve too, and I've been through as an actor as well, because you're so married to the script or how you want to play it or the role, and it's like the director has nothing to say in that. Yeah, but that's like something, because you're like, oh, you watch back the film, you're like, fuck, why didn't they use that other scene? You know, I was amazing in that scene. I know I connected in that scene. Like everything was just, but it might just not have worked. It wasn't what they were going for within it. And I've seen something else also, not just the directing in the scene, but in the edit as well. Yeah. And an edit can change a film so much. So to me, that's why I feel like I'd be naturally suited to that, because it's like rewriting the film. Yeah. It's like not with the pen, it's visually now. Yeah. And you're telling a different story. You can really manipulate the story in a different way, yeah. Yeah, it's like, oh, fuck, I didn't know that like this actually would go in that direction, but that works somehow. Like, and then you got performers that might take something in a different direction. You're like, oh, fuck, I didn't even think about it that way. That, yeah. But then you also got times where the performers might do something exactly how you envisaged it. And it's like, oh, wow, which Talia did for me so many times. It was like, even during the auditions, it's like the way I wrote a certain word, she said it exactly how I envisaged it, and no other actress got it right. She's great like that. She's very intelligent. Yeah. Yeah. Very intelligent within the realm of subtext performing and subtext and all that. Yeah. 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 She really picks up, and she asks you, I remember when I used her in Grind as well, and she said to me, you know, like about the accents and things like this. And she was like, oh, should I do it American? You know, I'm like, this is kind of a hybrid film of like different accents coming together. I don't want this actually placed in a time and a realm, you know, like I kind of just want different accents and different cultures coming into it. Thanks, bro. I enjoyed it, yeah, I appreciate that. And she said, I was just like, no, I want you to just keep your natural accent, you know, with this. Like, well, she did with us too. Yeah. Oh, she did. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of natural. And she's a fantastic American accent, I might add. Oh, she's like, you know how good I am with accents. Yeah. You've seen me do accents, and you surprised me with accents, eh? Yeah, like, right. Especially because I got a hoary bloody Kiwi accent most of the time.
but she's probably even better than I am with accents. She's just got it down to a fine art.
Yeah, we talk about malleable. I said malleable before.
She's a true like performer, and she's I after this, like you know, I feel like a lot of the people that performed on this film could go a long way, but I feel like Talia is probably going to be a star, like Margot Robbie big. I actually think that. Like I feel like she's going to be a big star. Like I actually don't really have any doubt.
She's 100% got the potential to do it.
Yeah. She's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Some of the things she did, I'm just like, I don't even know those places were possible. And it's Layla as well. Like you see her on a lot of the ads.
Yeah, you know, she's in heaps of TVCs. Yeah, especially while you were shooting that, there's a lot of them on air, like at like ANZ and a few others that she was in that she was prominent in.
The water one, what is that? Like Mountain something? I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Mount something.
Yeah.
But yeah, and especially like in this day and age where you got more, you know, she's a strong black woman. So that you need more people like that. And she's going to go a long way. We're going to bust out the whiskey now.
I think we are. Yeah, I saw your water was low, actually. You got to hydrate,
and beer. So beer's done.
Yeah, put that out of the way.
Get that out of the way.
Stocks, we knew we were going to be here for a little while.
Yeah. I appreciate that, my man.
We'll hydrate you first, you know, in between.
It's got to be done. So, yeah, I couldn't be happier, actually, with the performance of everyone that was involved in Western culture. Everyone was just so fantastic, but specifically Layla and Talia, just next level, bro. Next level, bro. Like, yeah, and I suppose I should give a shout out to my makeup artists too. Like they were just,
especially one being your girlfriend, or should I say
fiance?
Fiance.
Yeah, we're getting married in 6 weeks. Yeah.
Yo,
keeping it low key. Yeah.
That's the first I'm hearing of it. There we go.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, man.
Thanks, brother. You know, in a way, I know I'm a good man. I'll give her and the family everything I have. But in another way, it's like, how does she even put up with me? You know. So, but I know I've got a decent like heart. So I feel like that's probably a reason she's stuck around. Maybe I don't know. But
she sees the potential.
Oh, and she's so smart, bro. And she's a makeup artist. She's been on. Shout out to Shiley, my baby. Very pretty too.
Yeah. Shout out to Shiley. She's amazing.
She is. Yesterday she was like, you know, she's got quite a brash Aussie accent, doesn't she? And she's all like, yesterday she's like, fuck. It's fucking second time a fucking bee's flown in my face. And I was like, well, maybe that bee thinks that you're this beautiful flower.
And it wants to pollinate.
And, you know, and I actually meant it. But like, cheers, bro.
Cheers, bro.
But I was like, you know, I actually was sincere in what I was saying, but she looks at me, she just rolls her eyes at me.
She knew what you were going to say.
But yeah, she's a fantastic makeup artist, and her whole team on this film were absolutely phenomenal. And it was like very challenging, you know, a lot of blood, a lot of slit throats, it's a fucking brutal film, bro. So, and they, you know, a lot of pressure on everyone. It was like, we actually had less money than Alpha, but more like constraints to more, what would you say? KPIs to meet in terms of, you know, so it was like, a lot of people were under a lot of pressure, and that's independent film. I don't think I'll ever do that again to that extent, like that amount of like asking that much of people for that little amount of resources that we had.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm going to be at a place now after this film where it's not going to matter. We're going to get studio money anyway because it's that good.
Yeah.
And but anyway, yeah, everyone got pushed to their limits, and the makeup artists were fantastic. Everyone was fantastic, to be honest. It was one of those things. But my assistant director, shout out to Mara Kemara, Argentinian who married a Māori fellow who's not with us anymore. Riley, who was an extra. They were both extras in our film, Alpha. Mara and Riley. Riley's not with us anymore, the Māori fella. So unfortunately, wherever he is, bro, yeah, shout out to Riley. But
bro.
Yeah, she was a assistant director on this, and it was tough for her. You know, we were very much undermanned and under-resourced. but she did a fantastic job. And afterwards she just said, she's like, I've never met anyone with so much patience like you have. I was like, thank you. Like, I felt I like dug in and tried to do the best job I can. It's like, where do you take your psychological capital, for the lack of a better term, right? It's like some things, it's like, it's not really probably worth focusing on, right? Psychologically, it's like you've got what you need to get done. So you need to focus on certain things. And sometimes that might not look good to certain people, you know, and sometimes people butt heads and stuff. But it's like, if you've got your psychological, your mental capital in the right place, you're striving towards a goal and you hopefully achieve it, which we certainly did on this film. And it'll be easier in future. I know that, because we'll have way more resources, way more money behind us. But, you know, it's one of those things that's kind of more pure right now, isn't it? That you've done that and everyone involved was like not doing it.
I think so, yeah.
For financial gain. Everyone was doing it because they loved us.
Yeah.
For passion.
And that's why you got in the industry to start off with. And if you didn't, that shows through pretty quickly. And you don't last long in the industry if you're not doing it for passionate reasons. You know, if it's not the thing that drives you when you wake up in the morning, that really shows. But that's it. And that's the best part, I think, about indie film and indie filmmaking is just, and you've said it before, so I don't want to just play from your rule book, but it's a bunch of beautiful people coming together that are talented and skills, and the synergy of the situation and what you're making and just coming out and just creating something beautiful, you know. And it's just it's amazing, like an art piece to behold, you know. And it's just, but it's an amazing bonding experience as well. Like, I can honestly say Alpha was one of the best times I've ever had in my life, you know, with the people that we met and that we were part of. And it was just it was thrilling, absolutely thrilling, and just magical. Like the time that you
magical, wasn't it?
And we created something, and it's awesome, and it's amazing, and it's great film to show people. Yeah,
even now I look back and it's like, certain things could be done better, but it's like it's still a really good film. You're always
going to think that way, though, no matter what. When especially as an actor, like when you're auditions and things like that, and you see it back and performances, you've always got something to critique. But I think that what
makes you to be like that, right?
It's what makes you strive to be better all the time, and what gets you to be better.
Because you're never going to be perfect.
Satisfied, yeah.
You're never going to be perfect. So why should you feel like you are?
Yeah.
Or that is. Although Western culture is bloody awesome. Like, yeah, there's a few things that I would have done differently, but it's close to immaculate and complete film. Alpha, you know, I still feel like that was a fantastic film, and that experience that we all had. We all got in this zone and vibe, moving collectively forward as one kind of entity.
Yeah.
Didn't we?
Yeah.
See, Western culture was a little bit more clunky, but I feel like the result was better in terms of quality. But then again, it's like I was on my second feature film, and we're fucking with some people that were like probably a little bit more seasoned, and I'd kind of honed my focus into where the strengths are within the industry in terms of like selecting, you know, writing a story for two lead female actors or actresses. It's like, well, that's where the gold is, in my opinion. Like, and I mean, how many fucking auditions have I run now? How many actors and actresses have I seen? Like hundreds, thousands?
There's an overwhelming number of female actresses that are just so good.
So good.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've got the data there to support that.
Yeah. It's been that way, like in every single audition or workshop that I've been in. It's just I've kind of stand amongst the crowd, and there's you know, like it's on us as male performers to step up that game, you know, and actually be there, because there's opportunities, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And for us to be better, but hey, hands down to the ladies, you know,
100%,
doing their thing.
Like good for them too.
Yeah, because it's competitive, and
it's very competitive.
But that's the thing also, is that when it's more competitive, it brings the best out in people.
That's correct, and also it's like you see so many good people miss out. Whereas like you know, like in my experience, you might have 100 queens or princesses that are just fantastic. It's like, fuck, how the fuck am I gonna like choose the best out of this sometimes? Although in this particular case, it was a no-brainer. Like Talia just was fantastic. And so was Layla. But, you know, you might only get 10, 15 studs, or maybe 5 studs, you know, that you want to be in a leading man position. So it's like, Jesus, like where all the studs at? where you just got an ocean of phenomenal female actors or actresses there to choose from.
Yeah.
So that's where I went where the gold was at. And it's not always going to be that way with me. Like, I'm of the belief it's like, me specifically, even before this whole kind of awareness has come about in society about diversity and stuff. It's like I was already there. I already wanted my sets to be diverse. I don't give a fuck. And if, I have to make a certain film about a timepiece, I don't give a fuck if it's all like 100 white men, if it has to be that way, or 100 black men, or whatever, like, X amount of fucking whatever female, whatever. It's like, it doesn't matter to me. Like, if you want to tell a specific story, don't worry about these things.
No.
But,
who's going to be the best position to tell your story, or the characters that you're developing, and then who's going to be the best to play it? Hands down, the best people for the job should always get the role. It shouldn't really have to be about this, because when you make it about that, then it takes away from the fact that it should be that.
Exactly.
Like,
but if it's a certain,
if that
film,
creates awareness, and that's how it's happening, and that's okay. But
then if a certain filmmaker wants it to be like all about diversity, that's their fucking choice anyway.
Yeah.
If a certain filmmaker is like some asshole bloody racist that wants to make a racist film, it's like, it's actually their right, unfortunately, but it's like, it is what it is. It's like, people in this game should make the film they want to make, and not put limitations on themselves necessarily. That's the thing about art, and but yeah, I feel like I'm in a really good place, like, I've really worked with some really amazing people that I'll continue to work with too. Hopefully you as well in the future.
Yeah, man. Sure.
But yeah, bro, I need to take a slash. Is that?
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah. I'll talk to the camera.
Cool. Thanks, bro. I'll be back. Excuse the chair.
Just, probably walk around the circumference. But that's it. And that's one thing that was we were just touching on then was the ability to create dynamic and very interesting characters. And one highlight for me that I've read in the scripts that Jeremy's done, and his ability to write female characters, has been second to none. I will say that. And it takes a certain type of emotionality to be in touch with your feminine side as a male in life, and to understand females the best we can, as well as write them as interesting characters in films that we're doing, in TV series. And that's one thing that I'm going to ask him when he comes back, where that developed from for him. And what I will say is that's exactly it. The phenomenal actresses he has spoken about in Queensland. And that's something that I think, like I said before, us as males need to rise to the challenge, rise to the arena. Something that I put on myself to be better, and we always have to be, and we always want to be, and shouldn't take any step back because of that, and see that as a challenge. Let's go. It's not a gender challenge or anything around that way, but it's something that we need to do better. Guys, we need to step up our game. But are you back?
I need to say something too, but it's fresh in my mind. I was just thinking about.
Well, I do have a question too that I've just been saying to the camera.
Yeah. Hold fire on that, my brother.
Yeah.
I was just going to say too, it did pop into my mind briefly, and then amazing things actually happen sometimes on the toilet. You get major inspirations and epiphanies.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that a shout out to all the people that are actors, actresses, thespians. Like, they really do actually get treated like shit, I've seen. I'm not like that. Like, as a producer, director, I see you and I feel you and I got your back. Because, a lot of you guys, it's a very noble quest, and a lot of you get treated like dog shit. And even your craft overlooked in terms of like maybe other terms of production value. And I really do like admire the craft and the noble quest of the thespian or the actor or the actress, I really do. So, and that's the thing. Like, I got you guys backs with whatever I'll do from now until I transgress into the next realm. You know.
Oh, it's a tough go at it, man. Like you're putting everything on the line, everything that you've got. And one thing, confidence and belief, like as an actor or as a performer in general, is everything. And what you bring to the table, and you're putting that on display for everybody else to judge, as well as yourself.
It's like, you know, you might be confident. And it's like you're a confident guy. You're good looking. You know, you're a good actor. But it's like you go out there and you might try for a role and you just get treated like shit, or you don't get the role and you're like, fuck. You know, some other stud got the role. But it also comes down to like perception. You know, it comes down to perception. It's like Talia being so magnificent when she auditioned for the role in my first film, and easily the best performer, but she didn't get the part because of my and other people's perceptions at the time. It's like perceptions can change. People's perceptions may not be necessarily accurate. You know, it's like, so people like actors, and, you know, you really got to think about that. Like, don't give up, because don't necessarily equate your beliefs or happiness into whatever the perception of X producer or director chooses. It's like and you can always do better too. So keep moving forward. And eventually, if you're that much of a beast, like Talia is now, it's just a fucking beast of an actress. People are not going to be able to deny you. You know, like you're just going to grow to this point where you're just like, oh, I have to put them in my film. They're that good. Or someone else will. And it's also one other thing, if I may, it's like that's how I feel too. I'm glad that I feel like I'm a really good writer. I can give you people a great outline in which to perform off, because the amount of thespians, actors, actresses that have to, you know, they might go into a certain production, the script's just dog shit. At least I see that. And they haven't got much to work with. They have to make more of it, which they do anyway. It's like, I feel like that's one thing I can certainly bring to the table. I've got a long way to go in other areas, but at least with writing, I can produce something quality for your kind to, you know, you thespians to use and perform off, because it's just a blueprint. But, you know, shout out to Richard Walter, UCLA, gave me an A+. Just the most prestigious film school in the world for my writing.
Just throwing that out there as a shout out.
Just going to hype myself up for a second. Name drop.
Yeah, no, it was something that I want to ask you that I just was speaking to the people about here while you were away. And it's you are very strong at writing female characters, and you mentioned it before about being in touch with your feminine side, you know, things like that, which us as males, I think it's great to understand to the best extent we can.
Thank you. Yeah. Do I look like I'm in touch with my feminine side, though?
And people will judge because they might think not, but he is.
Yeah.
And for you, where does that come from? You do write strong female characters, and I'm saying, do you believe that, because I know you personally, obviously, is growing up with your mum raising you a lot as well, and your nana being around and a great influence in your life, and both those strong ladies being strong female characters in your life, you know, do you think that's where you draw inspiration from, or where you were in touch with that?
Oh yeah, I mean, that has to be a part of it, right?
For sure.
I also feel like people are just like, how the fuck did you come up with this shit? You know, it's 3 a.m. and I'm off my head writing, and I just come up with stuff. Some of it's great, some of it's shit. And then the great stuff, it's like, wow, you know, I give it to you actors and you guys are like, oh, wow, this was awesome. So a lot of it's from the void, you know, the void.
Just coming into you from somewhere else. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. If you're open.
Yeah.
And I think the same can happen when you're performing. You know, you spiritually you're at a place.
Yeah.
Tapped in.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's that. But yeah, I mean, you know, like I grew up in a matriarchy, you know, a very strong mother who ruled the roost. And let's be honest, like Nana was a matriarch. no doubt. She's a very strong Māori woman. I had, 3 sisters. One died at birth. Shout out to Lana Rose. Love you, girl. So I got, my stepdad was around for a while. I love him. I spoke to him yesterday. It's the closest thing I have to a father. My biological left when I was 3, so I didn't really have many memories of him in terms of like what a father should do. And so I was like, for the like majority of my time, because unfortunately my stepfather and mum broke up too. He left, and the majority of the time it was me, 2 sisters, and my mum. So it's like
a lot of female lionesses.
And Māori women.
Yeah, strong-willed.
Like, are you serious? It's like, yeah, and mum would like, you should get her on this podcast and talk to her about that, bro. She's got my back 100%. She knows. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's a thing. Obviously, I probably have understanding. Also, I'm definitely a lover more than a fighter. Now I'm, for the rest of my life, I'm committed to one woman, 100%. But back in the day, I loved a few. So you got to know a few somewhat. I was always like that, even if it was a brief moment I'd spend with someone. It's like you get to know them intimately.
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously it's women. I mean, I don't have sexual relations with many men apart from you, Daniel. That's a lie.
I feel privileged.
That's a lie, isn't it? No. There's that. There's also culturally, being Māori is very important to me. Our central God figure is a female because she gives life.
Yeah.
So there's that. I mean, that's etched into my tipuna and my whakapapa, which is like basically, my ancestors.
Yeah.
And that's how we are. But then, like my Viking heritage too, like we had shield maidens that used to fight with the men and against men. So there's probably that aspect of like a lot of my lineage, a lot of my genealogy is probably that way inclined anyway. I don't know. Yeah. And that's not to say I'm not still a blokey bloke at the best of times too.
Because you are.
And I am. And I mean, Jesus, look at me. I look like a silverback gorilla. But, I also, massive importance on men's mental and physical health too. Yeah. So, I feel that too. I feel that. But, it is cool too that we've got this time where these stories are coming about with stronger female characters. And thank you for the compliment too, that I write them strong. A lot of actresses have told me that too. Shout out to any actress that's worked on my films as well, our films. So, I mean, I like to think I do. I like to think I write strong female characters. I like to think I write strong characters of all credences.
Yeah.
But
so I was trying not to break.
Look at the skills of that stayed on the whole time. So yeah, and it's not like, I mean, your perspective, right? If you're open, you could probably write really good characters or perform or, within a character if you're really open, of most credences. So
for me, it's got to have had a huge influence on you growing up, having those strong female characters around you. And I believe that's what you're tapping into, when you're thinking of these female characters that you're putting into your script. And it's always been an intrigue of mine, like I've always thought it, but it's great to be able to talk to you about it, and ask you. And I really think that, because it's such a hard thing, and it's easy to write a male character. It's easy to write that strong, domineering, male character, as a male writer, and wanting to see that bang, shoot 'em up, action film or what have you. But it takes real balls to write a female character and have them as leading characters, especially in a film as well. So props to you, man. Like,
thanks,
and it's amazing. And I will say that because I said before, like, by far one of the best writers I've ever read of scripts and done your films before. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to seeing this Western culture film.
Oh, bro, I'm looking forward to you seeing it and then talking to you about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I remember showing you like the biggest piece of dog shit I've ever made in my life. And you're like, bro, you know, I mean, it wasn't great, but I liked parts of it. And that's what like artists are like. They can see like
the beauty
where you're going with it. Whereas like the majority of the people out there are just, it takes a lot to impress like the average Joe Blow that gets home from work and is like, okay, I want to be dazzled. I'm going to the cinema. Or I'm going to watch this on Netflix or whatever, DVD, whatever. And it's like, well, if you don't dazzle them, they'll be like, there's a fucking shit film.
Within 5 seconds too. Yeah.
It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that.
And especially with attention spans these days as well. You know, like you got to get them pretty quick. Well, it just is so easy to go to the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose. But then again, you got people like us that will listen to 4 hours of Joe Rogan's podcast. I mean, that's a long attention span.
Yeah.
So there's probably a select few of us with a long attention span too. But then again, you do need to provide something that is sufficiently dazzling, I suppose.
For the consumer. And that's the thing, like you can't blame it because they have the consumer mindset, you know. They're the one you're making it for. Yes. Let's face it. Yeah, maybe you're not as a true artist. Sometimes you're making it for yourself. You know, but that's it. You got to have that in mind. And that's the difference when you're writing and you're trying to sell something, you know, and somebody's wanting to pick it up, which is a huge development thing. And 100%. It's the difference between coming from the indie game, especially low level, to actually going to a studio platform or a platform that people are actually going to see what you're creating. Yeah. And it's having that ability to write for all circles of life and for all consumers, but also keeping yourself satisfied, making something, you know, thought-provoking, emotion-provoking, and everything else in between. And that's got to be a hard task. So what for you are the main influences in that regard?
Yeah, it depends. Like, you know, my first film I made for myself, Alpha Mesky. That was 100% for myself.
Yeah.
This film, Western Culture, is for the consumers, 100% for the consumers. You know, there's films you can make that are quite like to a specific quadrant. It's like, okay, well, this film is going to be big for white males or males over the age of 25, or, well, it's R18, males over the age of 18, or females, you know, like, in fact, you know, I've watched a lot of chick flicks with my missus, and some of them I like. So it's like some of those can be like a couple film, I suppose you could say.
Yeah.
A lot of them are like quadrantally, if that's even a word. It is now, if it's not. Specifically designed for a specific audience. This particular film I've just released is definitely 4 quadrant, although it's probably between M and R rated, probably even closer to R.
I would say so from some of the scenes that I've heard about.
Exactly. But depends on which territory you're into. You might, like America is probably going to be R. Australia might give me an M15 plus because Australia's pretty chill. But you never know. We'll see how we'll cross that bridge when it comes. But I certainly designed this last film from like a story perspective to reach a wider audience. But some films don't, so it just depends. And then in terms of inspiration, it's eclectic for me, very eclectic, like from everywhere. It's like, you know, I've studied psychology a lot, although I don't have a degree. Studied a lot of psychology because I feel like that's important. I read more books now than I ever have on a wide variety of subjects. So that's obviously, even if I don't know it, it's changing my subconscious. Filmmakers, like obviously, you know, Tarantino and Scorsese are 2 big ones with me. But you know, a few others are really creeping in of late, and some of them are quite abstract, you know. So and I feel like I'm drawing inspiration as I'm going forward. So, and that's changing, and my scope is probably changing too. So, and it just probably depends on the specific project that I'm creating.
Yeah.
It's like with with Western culture, as I said, like Chinatown and Seven were two massive influences. David Fincher with Seven.
Yeah,
like,
he's fantastic. Yeah.
He's fantastic. Like he's a big influence on me as well. So, and I could sit here all day spouting off the influences.
Yeah, for sure,
So sometimes it's more specific. To be honest, I think the biggest influence on me now, probably Scorsese.
Yeah.
Scorsese, yeah. Like I've done his online film score. I've been to his exhibit in Melbourne when it was there and looked at all his stuff, like his, like there's even stuff there, like his handwritten storyboards and stuff. And then doing his, whatchamacallit on,
the masterclass online.
Masterclass, yeah. You got me. You're feeling me.
I know what you're saying.
You have my back there. So, I mean, I've done his masterclass probably 6 times.
Yeah.
7 times. Like, you know, sometimes I'm just doing whatever and listening to his masterclass as background noise. And the guy is so, like, invested in film. Like, he actually doesn't care much about anything else. I know he's rich now from it, but there was a time where he wasn't. And that's where I'm at now too. Like as you know, I'm a geologist on and that's where my breadwinning comes from. And now I'm doing well on the stock market reasonably as well. So it's in my best interest to become independently wealthy outside of film anyway. Although I feel like this next couple of years might see me make some big money in film and get to that next place because of what I've got sitting on the shelf. But it's also in my mindset, it's like, that's not going to matter. Like I'm always going to be a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And even when if I have to become independently wealthy and like put millions of dollars into my films, and so be it, because these like art pieces are going to be around when I'm dead and you're dead. And our mokopuna, our grandchildren are going to be able to watch it. And they'll be like, oh, that's my grandfather. Or so-and-so will be like, oh, that's my grandmother, or, you know, whoever. It's like, and these art pieces are going to stay around forever. And if you can make a really good piece of art, it might stand the test of time.
Exactly. And
like Shawshank Redemption, 1994.
Fantastic. Yeah. And that's about creating that kind of legacy, right? Like within what you're doing, like there's so many realms that you can make a legacy, you know, your kid or things like that, you know, your offspring that you make. But, I think when you're in the performing game, it's kind of what you're looking at doing. If you're a real performer, you want to make something that people are going to forever see. You hope to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, like, shout out to Frank Darabont, another big influence on me, who made Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile, arguably 2 of the best films of all time. Fantastic. I feel like Shawshank Redemption is probably the best film of all time.
I remember watching it at school.
Me too.
In English class.
Well, I watched it with my dad when I was like 11 and thinking this is fucking fantastic film.
Yeah.
Wow. And I was 11 years old, but I could see how good it was.
I think that's about as far back as I can honestly remember of something moving me so much.
Yeah.
Is Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, me too.
And provoking so much thought and emotion that I never even thought was there and didn't even know myself until I watched that film, actually. Yeah. Now that I'm talking to you about it now, and I can remember it as probably as, that's like, you know, you have those memories that just stay.
I'm 100% the same. And I watched it with my old man. And I was like, even at 10 years old or 11 years old, you're able to respect the art of good storytelling.
Dude,
you really are.
Before that, I could fuck what am I doing in English class, to be quite honest. But that.
It moved you. Yeah. And that's what we're aiming to do. You might not succeed, but that's what we're aiming to do.
Exactly.
But I honestly feel like Western culture will move some people. I seriously think so.
Yeah.
Talia's seen it, like the rough cut, and she was bawling her eyes out for the last third of the film.
Shit.
She was crying. And I don't really she's wonderful at like acting in an emotional way. In fact, I think she's got all bases covered. Shout out, any of you producers, directors out there, if you want someone that'll do well for you, hire Talia Jade Holt, because she can do anything.
Yeah, I see.
But it was real emotion when she watched that film and was crying. It actually made her cry. So yeah, I mean, I was like, well, if a lot of the audience are like her, because I wouldn't really say that she's like 100% emotional girly girl. She's actually got a bit of gusto about her. And that's another reason she's so great for this role. There's a lot of boxing in this film. She's a fighter. She doesn't have boxing matches, but that's like a big part of her backstory. She's a trained fighter.
Yeah.
And she actually grew up boxing with her father. So she was when I was she's like, we're great for the role. And I was like, oh, come hit the pads. Because as you know, I've like been boxing most of my adult life, well, all of my adult life, at least training. And I held the pads for her, and I was like, oh, we don't even have to like do much with this one. She's great. Like, she's a wonderful boxer too. Like, she can box,
That has to come across too as a bonding experience for you too, because you play her grandfather in the film, right? You've aged in the film, and that had to have been a process, like an emotional bonding experience for you guys.
That was my cameo, yeah. And I'd like shout out to the makeup artist who made me look like a fucking 68, 70-year-old dude. And I actually did. It was so strange. My mum like cried because I reminded her of her father. It's like I had a photo with my mum and I actually look older than her. Yeah. Because she's aged so beautifully, my mum.
Yeah. It's crazy. Eh?
Wow, she's got...
I mean, no crazy as
Norwegian Danish mixed with Māori, like brown don't crown, black don't crack, those sayings. but then some white people age beautifully too. I think there's certain environmental factors. Like she drinks a lot and she maintains that she pickles all her organs. And maybe that's a stress release too. But yeah, she's certainly aged well. But anyway, so I'm in this film playing an older guy. I put on weight too for that. Like I fully let myself go. I got up to, I think, 128 kilos for the film, which for me is very large. So I was this big guy, and we had the scene together, her and me. And a lot of the crew said that's the most intense emotional scene they've ever been a part of. And see, me when I have my cameos as a director, I actually get lucky because I can kind of draw off whoever's like a really good actor next to me, which was the same thing with Talia, like even more so. It's like I can draw on their energy and it makes me look better with my cameos. I did that with Jamie in the first Alpha and other stuff. Like if it were up to me to create that energy, I don't think I'd be as good, whereas actors do that.
Yeah, but that's part of performing though. You're connecting with your opposite scene partner, and sometimes they're bringing the bigger energy across and they need to for the scene.
And you just feed off.
Yeah, for sure. And
that's like me. I suppose I'm a parasite in that respect.
Man, I think that's a being a good actor, like being able to take the latter in the scene because it needs to be there. You can try and overpower that if you're very egotistical and like want to. Yeah, for sure.
And it just fucks the whole dynamic up.
Especially if you got that female male, like agenda there, and it just. But that's acting though. That connection in the scene is just. And I spoke about it a lot on the podcast. Like that's living right there.
You should get Talia on here, bro.
Oh, I will. I'll sit down and speak with her. Yeah, especially closer to the premiere of the film, man.
She'd be fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so I mean, sorry, I shouldn't be like you should. That's like if I were you, I would do that. Yeah, so I mean, that was an incredible moment for me, and I really felt it. I don't know if she did, but yeah, we got close by the end. Like, there's still that dynamic where they have to respect that you're the one directing and producing this. So you need, in some respects, there's a distance. But a lot of people close to me say I'll probably go further, like beyond that distance than I should. But that's just who I am. I really do connect with my actors.
Yeah, I think that helps, man. Like, it's just, everybody does it differently.
People
and
feel comfortable with me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's like when I see people like struggling, it's like, you don't have to worry, baby. Like, I know there's been times where I haven't been like that, but it's like now I'm in that place where it's like, well, you don't have to worry, baby. It's me.
And you have no idea what that can do for somebody.
We got time, just relax.
Yeah. Because whether the perception's there or not, and artists, they know themselves, but actors can be the most precious people going around.
100%.
And the perception can be from most people outside looking in is that they're the most perfect people in the world. But more often than not, it's the complete opposite. Yeah. And that's why they're able to harness these different emotions and be malleable and play those parts, is just because they have all that within them. But that can be hard. Very hard to walk around with, and just a little nudge like that and the connection with the director is everything to a performer on a production. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I hear a lot of them are wankers too.
Yeah.
That's what I hear. I don't know if it's true, but
sometimes it might be what they're trying to get out of it, like for the role, to play it that way. But some are just could be that way inclined. Yeah.
We should hook up some more whiskey.
Yeah. No, I was going to.
Oh, man. How good is it, by the way, that the Warriors won today?
Oh, it's fantastic.
I was in an Uber. Shout out to Harajot, who dropped me off here. We're actually dressed the same. I turned up and I'm like, because he's a Sikh, so he's got his turban. Me, I'm just like, I love wearing my bandanas or hats. I always have. And I turn up and I'm wearing my Versace sunglasses with my bandana on. He's got his turban on and he's wearing Prada. I was like, my man.
Uber's playing well.
But yeah, in the Uber, I was like seeing that the Warriors were down 25-6 at halftime. Thank you, brother. Thank you. So I was like, fuck, we're in for it here. I turn up to Dan's and things got a little affectionate, as they usually do. But it was good to see you, my bro. Like, first time in a while, and I'm very busy these days. But yeah, we're sitting down and he's got the Warriors on. Fantastic. And I was just like, I'll just be happy if we put up a fight here. And damn it, did we? We ended up winning the game in the last dying minutes. Yeah. We got a few calls go away for once in our life, and we won. Let's
drink to that.
Shout out to that, bro.
Cheers to the Warriors. Nathan Brown, the new coach, playing at Canberra. Canberra tough, top 4 side, easy this year. They're going to be
Canberra
playing at home.
Yeah, Canberra will be right up there this year, and maybe now we will be too. Looking at that, we got the Roosters next week, and they're injured.
Yeah,
like so many injuries. If we can beat them, like. The permutations of that for our whole season, no idea. It's like we could be top 4 if we win that game and do well for the rest of the year.
It's games like that show you mental, that show you toughness, and that can show, like, inspire the squad to keep going, especially 100%. That we're stationed over in Australia because of COVID and everything.
100%.
At the moment and the way it is. And yeah, it's just those. We don't have we've got depth in our squad, but we don't have a big squad here. So for those reasons as well, and so that can really boost you on for the rest of the season. And it's something that can be actually said for what we've been speaking about when you're in the trenches in a film, and you're in those tough spots and things that, like, the budget constraints are there, and just that grit and determination to get to the end and to bring the film over the line with that high quality when it gets to the end of the shooting. It gets tough. It's emotionally,
it's really tough,
emotionally fatiguing. It's you're putting everything into it, and sometimes things don't go your way, and those things battle you. Like they can scar you, but those scars, like just forge you on for greater things, to come.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
and that grit is everything, and no matter what you're doing. So particularly probably on the sports field, the mental grit. It's like physical prowess is one thing. But yeah, well, in terms of physical prowess, our team now with those 2 big Tongan boys up front, it's like, it's just so good. And it's like, this is like the Warriors of old. We're just manhandling other forward packs with size and strength.
Yeah.
Big brown boys just smashing.
You need that, yeah.
Those Aussie boys, it's like, oh, hell yeah. Because the Aussies are real resilient people in life and in football. Rugby league, geez, man. The Aussies are a hell of a people. Like they
back themselves.
Yeah,
and that's something that I've noticed since I've been over here as well. Yeah,
100%. Me too.
And it's something that I've noticed with Americans as well. Like it's not like everybody will say. And that was the one thing that I really noticed when I went over there at the back of 2019. It was just like everybody says they're arrogant and stuff, but it's
I don't think so.
I don't think so at all. They just back themselves, they don't really like. Much respect. They're very nice people, the majority of them, and I got along with them famously. But it was just like, I was like, I can see how this can be perceived as arrogance, but it's really not. It's just confidence in themselves, and really they don't give a fuck what's going on outside of themselves because they got to focus on what they got to do because there's so many people there in the rat race trying to up one of them, to be the next thing.
Great, like the greatest performers on the world stage with everything.
Yeah,
fantastic people. I loved every minute I spent in America. Like I went from the first time I was there, I went from hanging out with middle class white people.
Yeah,
white class middle people, middle class white people in Colorado for a mate's wedding.
Yeah,
nicest people in the world. And then shout out to Eric He was like this rapper dude, half black, half Hispanic, who was in Brisbane for a time, and he was back in Los Angeles, is where he grew up. And so I said, I have to spend a week in Los Angeles after I go to my mate's wedding. So I was in Colorado, and it was like, cool time, great people. And then I was in Los Angeles, and I hung out with Eric, who's half black, half Hispanic, and 3 other black dudes. And it was the coolest thing ever. And I was like, they lived in the hood, so I went in the hood. And he's like, "Well, you don't feel scared walking through here?" I was like, "Oh, bro, I'm pretty much from the hood where I'm from anyway.
Yeah.
Like, it's not as bad as here, but West Auckland, Waitakere, shout out." So yeah, big guy as well. And he's like saying that like most of the people there were Hispanic. And to most people, I probably look like maybe a tan white fella, you know, but he's saying like we're walking past like these like Hispanic people, and he's like, they're looking at you like they don't know what to make of you.
Yeah.
Like they're like, what the fuck is that? Because I'm a big dude too. And then we got to the hood the first night I was there, and I walked in like to this house, and like little KD, he's this little black guy. He's actually from Africa and lived in America most of his life. And he just looks at me, and he was just like, "Oh, nigga, you're big. What, you a footballer?" And I was like, "No, bro. Well, I played rugby league in New Zealand." He's like, "Oh, you're from New Zealand, my man." And like, we're just, smoking marijuana. It goes with the territory, and drinking gin and juice. Which was funny. Yeah. And beers. And it was the coolest experience. I hung out with them for like days on end. We're just getting mentally retarded. Sorry about that word if that's not acceptable, but we certainly were like Black Eyed Peas, style.
Yeah.
Let's get that way up in here, and we did. And it was just like it showed to me, if you're an open person, doesn't matter what walk of life you're in, like you can relate to everybody.
Yeah.
So how did we even go there? Americans. Yeah. So I've been to America 4 times now, and Americans are fantastic. I love them all. I feel like I connect more with the Mexican people and the black people, but even the white people are fantastic too. And like the service when you go out is, you just don't get that over here and in New Zealand. Like to that
because
level.
they're making it off the tips though too.
Yeah, but I also feel like it's that mentality of Americans have. They're actually hardworking people.
Yeah.
And I feel that way about Australians too, in terms of like they back themselves. Yeah. And Americans do. And I feel like if there's one problem I have with our people of Kiwis is we're probably a little bit more tall poppy. Like the crab in the bucket, kind of like someone rises up, people might try and pull you down a bit. Yeah. Although it's not so much that way in my circles. I'm fortunate, like with my family and friends, they although probably more conservative, and they're, get after it, bro. Like they're more conservative in that respect. But they do still back me, and I'm quite fortunate. But see, the Aussies love a winner, and the Americans do too. So it's like, if you back yourself, and I'm sure there's like, if people might have different perspectives on this, and there are people that are insecure that are like crab in the bucket, try and pull people down. Whereas I feel like there's room for everyone to grow. There's room for everyone to be successful. There's room for everyone to be
the best versions of themselves. Yeah. You don't need to pull someone else to feel better and to feel more gains from that.
Yeah, let's see everybody succeed. Yeah. Why not?
It was something interesting you said there, though, before as well, because didn't you meet King Swayze?
He was one of the black fellas.
Yeah.
And that's why I really...
He's awesome, man. Like, he's the coolest guy. Part of Alpha Maschi, like you said, you met over in America, rapper, doing his thing in Oslo, Sweden. Yeah, he was fantastic at Alpha. Like he was just fantastically natural and just himself, and like
most rappers can act, right?
Let's be honest. And he never done acting it himself, and he would ask little things like behind set before you go take something. Come find me a few times, before you go do things, and it was just pretty much that dude. Be yourself.
I love that guy.
Just do your thing, and he was so good, man.
That's like when he found out, like when I was over there, he's like, when I told him my grandmother was black, he's like, I knew it. Yeah, no, you're a nigga like me. That was where he was at. It was just like, no, you're one of us. And I was like, it was so cool for him for other walks of life of people to just accept me as the same. And it's like, I had the fortune of having that with all walks of life of people in America. It's like, one night there, I went out by myself to watch the Floyd Mayweather fight, and I couldn't get into any bars because they were all so packed. So I was standing out watching from the street with all these Mexican fellas, you know, and they were just the coolest people in the world. And yeah, when I took my brothers, all my black fellas, to the strip club, and I was just fucking making it rain. Strippers are way cheaper in America, by the way.
Yeah.
At the risk of going there.
Dude, I never went when I was over there, actually. We were in Vegas as well, yeah.
You got a door.
Yeah.
It's like so much cheaper and like fantastic. And anyway, I was making it rain, bro. I was making it rain. And then these Mexican guys like were just like, oh man, you know, they were just like, they saw me doing that, and they were intrigued and like, yeah, I saw you throwing around all that money yesterday. And I was just like, yeah, bro, yeah. And they're like, so all you guys want to come with us, man? And then here's me and like the back of a Cadillac. And, you know, obviously these days I can't really do too many drugs and whatnot because of my job, and got to keep it pretty reasonable. So I don't really, I'm just more of a drinker. But when in Rome, right, or when in Los Angeles where they legalized marijuana, like, so I was in the back of this Cadillac with 4 black guys just crammed in, and these 2 Mexican dudes just driving. And we like pulled up to this dark alley and we were just smoking till the cows come home. Yeah. And it was just like a hell of a cultural experience. And it was so, not for a second was I, well, I'm not really like that anyway. If some shit goes down, I do my best to handle it. I'm not going to live in fear. But like, yeah, it was a hell of a thing for this little big Kiwi to be in some back alley in Los Angeles, just, you know, doing these things. But it was like the coolest thing ever. And I really have like great perception on Americans, like all walks of life of Americans and Australians too, for that matter. Like, I love how they back a winner. So many of my peers, albeit like, you know, Aussies got to work on some things, as we all do. But, you know, I feel like they back in a winner for the most part. I've had a lot of good reception from people over here from what I'm doing. They really like look at you and like their eyes light up when they figure out that you're not just doing what you do as your basic profession, which for me is as geologist. As a geologist, it's like I'm filmmaking as well, and their eyes light up like a lot of people, and it's just like, oh wow. And it's like such a cool thing to have like that morphic resonance of good energy, you know, from people. Whereas like, you know, where me and you're from, some people probably look at us and be like, turn your nose up. But, you know, we are not many as Kiwis, and we way outperform for sure. On the world stage. So we have our strengths, and I'm so proud to be, you know, I'm so proud of us as a people, and to be from New Zealand. But that's one thing we could probably work on, is the tall poppy stuff.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But yeah, I'm proud. I'll always rep New Zealand, you know, no matter what anyone says or whatever, you know, being in Australia for that long or whatever, like I'm always going to say I'm from New Zealand, you know, like it's just where I'm from, you know, it's in your DNA. There's no going away from it. It's just embrace it, man. Yeah.
We're awesome.
I love it, man. I love it. But
we are a phenomenal people, white, brown, and collectively. Like whatever. We're wonderful people. Like look at the All Blacks, best performing sports team,
best winning percentage rate
by a long shot.
Yeah,
and then you have the wonderful privilege of being a Crusader supporter, which is like the backbone, really. Although having said that, it's like a lot of the talent does kind of Auckland's like we've got the most talent, but we don't have the best system. Because we've got the most population. We've got
poach Roger Tuivasa-Sheck from the Warriors. Man.
Yeah, well, I mean, that makes me cry being a leaguey.
Yeah, I hate it, man, but hey, whatever.
But maybe he'll be a great All Black.
Endeavour to be an All Black, man. Yeah,
maybe he'll be a great All Black, and you never know. And yeah, it's like the Crusaders of like the Melbourne Storm although they did it before Melbourne Storm with Melbourne Storm, they're just comparable. Pardon me. They have the best system down there. It's like Auckland will choose a bunch of people, and then they're like the people that got rejected from Auckland will go down to Canterbury and become better players in the Canterbury system. And that's like, well, the system, you know, it's like fantastic. So shout out to you for being a Crusader supporter.
Although these days, I mean, you know, Tasman, Marcos, things like that. You know, like they've started to
Tasman are excellent, eh?
Yeah, it's the feeder squad. You know, well, feeder squads to Crusaders these days, but you know,
they've got a great coach there, great system too. But I feel like that's just feeding off what we've already got bubbling away in our rugby. But we'll see. Like, you know, England got us in that last World Cup, so. But, you know, it's like 30 odd games undefeated in World Cup. Like, you're going to lose one eventually.
Hey man, we'll get the cricket one next.
To me, we already won the cricket.
That was rough, but we won't go down that way too far.
We don't have the trophy.
Yeah.
But we won that. That was like, you know, I'm probably one of the worst on Facebook with talking about cheating referees. But I'm also honest. Like today, we had the rub of the green with the Warriors.
A little bit.
100%. Like, yeah. So it's not as if I'm a one trick pony or one track kind of mindset. It's like, I'll admit when the shoe's on the other foot, like with the All Blacks, we often get the rub of the green sometimes. It seems that way to me.
Yeah.
Not to the extent as the Warriors get fucked over. But in that particular final, I just felt like I felt like India threw the game against England to get England into the top 4. I felt that way. I felt like they threw that game and there was some money involved, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
We saw India like pretty much like being ready to chase down their score and then their captain just block out like 18 balls for no reason. It's like, what the fuck, bro? And then I felt like when you put it into perspective, it's like, what England really gonna like let that go at Lords? Like they were going to do everything in their power, and we probably missed a couple opportunities. Like at halftime, apparently they bought that boundary in 6 meters, where Bolt ended up standing on when he took that catch.
Really?
Just brushed the boundary when he took that catch, which would have got rid of Stokes and got us the World Cup. They brought that boundary in.
How can you do that? Like
they did it. Like
really?
I've heard.
I didn't know that, yeah.
Like I don't know 100% of it's true, but I've heard reports that happened. And then also it's like the ball came off Stokes's bat and they gave it 6 runs where he didn't cross the popping crease, which means he'd only run 1 full run. So it should have been 5 runs. Yeah. So technically we should have won by 1 run. And then technically we didn't even lose anyway because scores were level after both the end of the game and the super over. But we lost less wickets under the old system. They would have given the victory to us because we lost less wickets, but they changed it halfway through the World Cup to more boundaries, which is probably fortuitous. You know, it's like that's just the way it happened. But to me, it's like, we didn't lose that. Well, we didn't lose it. England just got the trophy, and I was so proud of our boys.
Yeah, man.
So proud of our boys.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to swallow because if we were ever going to win the Cricket World Cup,
it would have been that.
Yeah.
But no, I feel like we've got a great chance now because you see our depth now. Yeah. We've actually got like massive batting depth that coming out of nowhere.
And they're actually not just sticking with the same guys. They're switching them out, which would be a thing that we've done in the past. We were stuck with those top order guys that keep they made runs like 5 games ago and they'd keep them in the team, man. Whereas now they're actually having the balls to switch them out after 2 or 3 games of failing, which is something that Australia used to do, hands down.
That's why they're
Australia in turn have actually kept some guys in, like they started like the old formula, Yeah, wow.
They should get rid of that guy and put Steve Smith. Like
100%. I don't even like Steve Smith, and I'm just going to say that. But he is an amazing batter and a great captain, and they should do that.
They should do that. And if Australia was smart about their cricket, they'd do that and get someone younger in there, like
optics, though.
Alex Carey, probably
optics, bro.
It is what it is. But now we're in that power position we're going to play for the Test Championship, and to be honest, it's against India and England, and the conditions will suit us. We got lucky in a way, but then again, we've been winning so many series, so we might win the Test Championship, and I think we probably should because the conditions will suit us. India are an absolutely phenomenal cricket team, but like a lot of cricket teams, they can't play very well when the ball's moving around, and we do it the best.
We have good bowlers that can do it as well.
Bowlers that can move the ball.
Can really move the ball,
and it doesn't always move, but it usually does in English conditions, and we're probably the best at it. So we probably should win that, and I hope we do. And then that might ease the pain of how we got rorted in the World Cup.
I hope so, final. Man. But and something that I can think always is gets our teams a lot of time, especially our cricket team, is choking on the bigger occasions, And I think we're growing from that. No, I think we're really growing from that. Yeah. But I think that is one thing that the Aussies do very well. And I'm not just saying in cricket, I mean everything. They get up for the big occasions and they make it count when it does, 100%. Where we lack that killer stroke. Apart from the All Blacks, we have done in a lot of our sporting endeavours, and I think that's something we can learn to be a lot better
100%,
at. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
It's a thing, man. It's a thing.
Yeah, and we've just got so much depth there now in the cricket. Like, I actually feel like we're gonna, like, the next 12 years are going to be phenomenal. And you know, one thing I was thinking yesterday when I was like finished doing a few things I had to get done, I sat down and watched a little bit of the cricket. I was thinking, man, one day when I'm financially independent, it'd be so cool. It was like me and a couple of other mates, guy like yourself, join the crew to just go around, you know, maybe in New Zealand or wherever, like just follow the team around and watch a whole bunch of games on a tour.
Yeah,
just get drunk in the stands and enjoy it.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool.
Well, I remember there's a little bit of talk of that for the World Cup a while ago.
Yeah, but we didn't quite get there, did we?
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that would be awesome.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe like, what is it, eight years from now or whatever, when we're back, the World Cup's around here, maybe in New Zealand, you know, financially independent by then, maybe do that.
Yeah.
That'd be so much fun. And, but yeah, I feel like that's one thing that's worth touching on. It's like sports are like a good metric to measure how we are as a people from New Zealand and Australia, for that matter, overperforming as opposed to population size. Like, we really are special people from both countries.
Yeah.
And now I feel like we're going to see more of that in the film game too. It's like Gold Coast, through all this fucking COVID bullshit that's been going on, has actually lucked out incredibly, because a lot of, like, Gold Coast was already getting a lot of productions, but now more are coming to the Gold Coast. So Gold Coast is like the Beverly Hills of the
Australia in itself, I think. I mean, they just locked in 4 or 5 years at Fox. Well, the Fox Studios, or the studios down in Sydney, Marvel Productions. But I also, we're obviously getting a lot here. Just finished up Elvis film that was just recently been doing. You got the Ron Howard film, which is the soccer team trapped in the Taiwanese caves. Shooting
another great director,
Mad Max. Oh, amazing! Mad Max coming here, the next one. There's a lot going on. Netflix films, you know,
and that's why, you know, where I bought my house. It's in Pacific Pines.
Yeah.
Which is just behind Movie World and all that there. And you know, my lawyers, and that's another story we probably should touch on too. I'll go for those though. That'll be good for me.
Yeah.
A little bit more whiskey too, my brother. So I bought a house in Pacific Pines.
My bad. Sorry.
My bad.
I lost the handle.
Dan's bad.
I lost the handle.
Pacific Pines, which is just behind Movie World and all the studios where my lawyers are and where they're doing all that stuff. Like, all the studios are in Movie World. So it's actually like, see, I went through a cruise around Beverly Hills in Los Angeles. And where I bought my house and where we're living now is actually a lot like Beverly Hills, bro. Like, pardon me, like the actual Beverly Hills, like most of Beverly Hills is quite flash, but it's like you think of like the real flash areas where the actors and stuff will buy houses. But the majority of it's like flash, but like you've just got like your upper middle class people living there.
Yeah.
Or middle class people living in these nice houses. So like Pacific Pines, where I bought, kind of seems that way to me as well. It's kind of very much like Beverly Hills around there, and it's right next to Studio Village and the studios and stuff. And that's what. Thanks, bro. It's called Pacific Pines, but it's like Beverly Hills, so I'm thinking of calling it Jeremy Hills.
Now, I've been around a few of those areas. They're good, well kept, like not gated community, but almost pretty much that way, right? Like, and it's fantastic, man. Like, the good places there.
Oh, I love it there.
But yeah, it's great, like having all those films coming here, and it's a great opportunity for a lot of Queensland actors and Sydney actors, you know, people in Australia here. Like, I know the stunt teams, for one. I know a lot of the stunt guys that have been on like world-class films, you know, like recently finished, the guys that started down like AP8 Stunt Academy down the Gold Coast, like had to pretty much close shop, even though they had one of the best ones, because their guys were just getting prominent on the film sets, and they were on Aquaman and a lot of those films and Thor and everything, Ragnarok. But they also recently did the Fast and Furious new film and all that, and just so many the other Charlize Theron Netflix film that was really good. Like, it's just so many of them, and they're getting picked up because they're one of the best stunt like teams in the world now. Like the films are coming here. We've got great, fantastic opportunities for actors, for filmmakers, for production assistants, everybody involved in it, and it's fucking crazy. It's good, and it's awesome in New Zealand as well, because I know we're not there, we're not a part of it at the moment. You know, we're forging our steel here, but it's just, I've had Avatar, you know, back to back, like 2 or 3 films, you know, like shooting over there. I think it's opened up production houses over there, like in a lot of the places. It's fantastic, man, to see.
Yeah, it's coming south, baby.
But yeah,
it's coming south, and that it really is like that saying, "There's no such thing as a small role." That's real. There's a couple of extras.
What you make of it, bro?
Yeah, there's a couple of extras I had on Western Culture. I'm keen to get them in for whatever I do next and audition them, because they just were that professional and were that great as extras. Like, it made a huge difference. Like, there's a couple of cuts I've made where these guys are in the background and they're like picture perfect with what they should have been doing as background action. Just so professional. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to see what they've got.
Counts, because directors like you see that.
I see that. And now I'm editing too. I see it even more. That's like, I love editing, bro, as much as writing, because it's like rewriting. But yeah, what was I going to say before? I think I might have lost it.
But well, that's a change for you too, because, and let's speak about that, because before, you know, you've great writer, you know.
Thank you.
Really good director, and I got to say, fucking awesome actor to watch on screen. And I know you don't give yourself enough props for her, and a lot of actors don't, you know. But you're very intriguing,
sure,
bro.
I'm a good director.
Very
like, you know.
I think your real big strength is writing. I think writing is your strength, and I know you put a lot into that, and you do a phenomenal amount of research when it comes to your films, and like you say before, Joseph Campbell, and the other people that you draw inspiration from, you know, and
Robert McKee, Blake Snyder, Richard Walter.
Yep, all these guys, man. And I think that's one of your real strong points, like your phenomenal standout strong points from reading your scripts and directing. I think, being on set with you a lot of times, you've learned and you've grown so many times through every film you've done. I really believe that. And you're a very humble director, you know?
You think so?
Like, yeah. And like,
I've been called arrogant before.
You know, but it's something to marvel, you know, and I think being that humble, you know, like you're a big dude, you got a big energy, you know, but you really boost up the people around you, and that's something to highlight.
No.
I mean, it's Andrew touched on it as well, and it probably couldn't have been said any better. We both spoke about it because we've both been a part of your films before, and you've got great leadership quality, and that's something you don't find every day. But it's been humble.
I try.
It's been humble in that leadership quality, though.
I try my best.
Yeah, but it's like when you're on an indie set and you're on an indie budget and you're on an indie mindset, you know, where you got to do things minimalistically, but you're trying to be so large with what you're doing as well. And that's where it stands out. And it's one thing that Andrew highlighted when you're shooting Western Culture, that you're throwing some sort of body down the river. It wasn't actually a body, just saying that. But body. You swam out into the river to get that waters, every single time and bring it back.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's just something that stands out, because in cold of the night and everything that was going on, you still went and did that, even though you're directing a scene. You didn't have to. You could have made someone else do it, but you chose to do that. And I know there's a lot of times that you've done that, and we'll bring an example up of before, is where when you do that sort of thing, it inspires us as actors too. And we were shooting that music video, and I don't know if you remember, we were down that back alleyway shooting in Fortitude Valley, and I get king hit and knocked from behind. And the amount of times that I had to fall on the ground on concrete on a cardboard box we had laid down on the ground. But it was like everything, and I stand by this every time, and not just in that part, but what's best for the film, let's just do it. You know, if it looks great, let's just do it, you know. And there'd be so many people that wouldn't have done that and wouldn't have done what you did, you know. But it's that thing that you inspire within us, you know, and that presence of leadership and that presence, you know, to make us want to strive to be better, and you encourage us in a certain way. Yeah. And whether it's blowing smoke up our ass or not, you know when to do it.
Sometimes
and
you have to do that too, right?
And sometimes you got to take a lead back and not, and you got to let us
Sometimes you need to blow a little smoke. Sometimes you got to rope someone in a bit.
Yeah.
Someone's getting a little bit too far out there. It's like, hey, come on, man.
Exactly.
I suppose I've had really good examples set like that too with my family, my friends. Like I feel like a lot of the problems you'll see with a lot of the upper echelon of filmmakers and actors and stuff, they get way out there and you're like, this person's a fucking piece of shit. It's because they've probably got so many sycophants around all the time blowing smoke at their ass 24/7. Too many yes men. It's like you do need people around that'll bring you back down to earth to a point. You don't want crab in a bucket styles. It's like a balance. It's one of those yin and yang things. It's like you don't want crab in a bucket or tall poppy, but you want someone to just rope you in a little bit. But then, sometimes people need encouragement too. And then in terms of leadership, it's something like I learned a lesson really early in my geology career, which I tell you what I love. I love being a geologist. I love being a scientist. I read about, I'm a very busy guy, but I read about 2 to 3 scientific articles a week, every week. And I'm reading more now than I ever have, mostly non-fiction science stuff, which is funny as a creative, right? But I've read that many books on creative stuff, and I'm reading that stuff all the time too. But where was I going with that? As a geologist, like one of the big lessons I learned in terms of like humility and accountability, which I think are 2 things you really do need as a leader. And I've come to become a leader with what I do. And it's like I try to be the best that I can. But one lesson I really learned early on in my geology career was I just moved to Australia. I was living at my mate's place, like a guy I'd met. And we struck it off, this Aussie dude. Shout out to Scott Andrews. He took me into his house and just paid rent, and it was a nice house in Robina, but it was a hell of a trek to Robina train station. It was still like a hell of a trek. And I was riding his bike, and that was cool. It was like a 15, 20-minute ride still, because Robina's a big area. To catch the train to Brisbane to work as a geologist, which half the time with that company I was working with back then was based in Brisbane, half the time based out in the field, whatever. So I had to get up to Brisbane one morning, and like always, and then I was riding this bike. I was like, sweet as, I'll be on time. And then the chain on the bike just snapped. So it was like, okay, fuck. And it's like you can't run as fast as you ride a bike. It's like not even the same ballpark. It's like, a bike's like closer to a car than it is walking or running. You know what I mean? So I was about halfway there. So I was like, this bike I just had to leave actually, no, I fucking ran with it. That's right. I didn't want to leave it there. So I ran with it. And I ran all the way to the train station, like sprinting at like 4:45 in the morning, because I had to be up that early just to get to the office at the time I was supposed to. But, then it was summer, and it's hot as balls in Australia. So it was like, by the time I got there, I was a sweaty mess, which you would have been even in the cold. The amount I ran like fucking 6Ks, like sprinted. And back then I was so fit. Like, there's no way I could do that now. Like, I'd give it a go, but back then I was so fit. So I sprinted all the way there. Got there, I still chained up Scotty's bike because I didn't want to lose his bike. And I fucking missed the train. Like, I saw the train leaving as I was just entering the car park, running in the train car park. So I seen the train I needed to get on, which means I was about half an hour behind where I needed to be. So I got like on the train, and luckily I always carry talcum powder on me because I got massive thighs. So and smellies, like deodorant, because I like to smell nice. And I had a bag with me with all that stuff, and luckily, because I got into the train, the next train, which is like roughly 19, 17 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever behind, which means I was going to be late. Half an hour even, I think, at that time. Yeah, I think it was half an hour. So I got on the train, and I just stripped naked in the toilet, because they got toilets on these trains, just stripped naked and hung my clothes up because I was just saturated in sweat. And I sprayed them with, and I just talked the fuck out of my nutsack and my ass. and just sat there in the air conditioning naked for like 40 minutes, just in the toilet, just like trying to cool down because I'd sprinted for 6 kilometers. And I got to work, ended up getting to work actually presentable. Like no one probably would have known any different the way I turned up, apart from the fact that I was about 35 minutes late. And I got shit. I copped a lash of shit for being late because the microscope was on me, like new guy. Kiwi as well. They were very, very turned on by my persona, but also like wary.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
The territory, yeah.
Like yeah. So it's like, and I copped a lash of shit from the 2IC, who is also the CFO, the chief financial officer of the company. He was like, well, why are you late? This is a concern. I was like, bro, if you knew the morning I'd had, what it took for me to get here. And, he was just like, I started describing my morning. I didn't even get 2 seconds into it. And he's like, hey, that's not my problem. That's not our problem. You need to be here at a specific time. It's got nothing to do with, and to what he knew, I might have just been on the piss and
making up elaborate excuses. Yeah.
The funny thing is, I'm a truthful person. I'm very I don't really lie much, if at all. Like I'm very truthful. Sometimes people laugh at me when I speak the truth because it seems so ironic, which the truth can often be. So I don't know if they've it probably doesn't matter. And to be, the way he was acting, it probably didn't matter at all. It doesn't matter. Like he get her on time. And that was a huge lesson. And I was only 23, 24 years old when I learned that lesson in accountability. And it's huge. It's like, it doesn't matter to them. Like, although having said that, when it's like my film sets, I'm not too like someone rolls up half an hour late, if it's hours late, it's like, come on, man. But it's like, if someone's like half an hour late, it's like, to be honest, I'm often the same. I was like an hour late for this podcast, wasn't I? So to what we said at what time I'd turn up.
Yeah. But look, I know you pretty well, man. I knew you were when you come up, you're going to bring the goods.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's it.
The goods, like you're talking about, that? No. Yeah. So, I mean, that was a huge lesson in accountability early. And there's been other ones along the way. And also in terms of film, it's like a hell of a noble quest, but it's also a hell of a I reckon I've failed more than I've succeeded, but it's like failing in the right direction, right?
It's a learning thing. It's part of the process, like it's failure is something that you can look away from, that you can try and avoid, but you're not going to grow unless you fail. Something that I've had to come to terms with personally in a lot of occasions, Yeah,
I'm really proud of you, bro, actually. Like you're a good friend of mine before the fact that we've worked together and before the fact that we probably work together in the future. I'm really proud of you as a brother. Like I know you got your issues like we all do. All of us do. And ours are minor. Let's be honest. Ours are minor. But, your podcast, you're creating real momentum with this and you're really good. You're much better than I was. Like I did a few podcasts earlier in the day. I'm better at doing this, being the subject, just talking. You're really excellent, bro. I watched 3 of your podcasts. Andrew's was my favorite. Yeah. Bernard Mina, what a guy. I don't know I think we're friends on Facebook. I don't know if I've met him.
No, he's a good dude. Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man.
And then those people that the ones that did that thing you're on.
Yeah, Hard Knock
cool
Life.
Cool people. Yeah. I can't remember their names.
Jason Laree.
Yeah. Cool people, and you're really good. You're a good listener, which is how I feel about myself. That's why I've got a beautiful fiance. I feel like it's because I'm a good listener. She
giving her that puppy dog eyes right now.
She shakes her head at that. I can't think of why it'd be anything else. She's you're fantastic, and then also your growth as an actor. Like I thought you were fantastic with what you did in Alpha Misky, our film, and I thought you've done a great job with other stuff we've done. But you've also had limitations you've had to face up to, which we all do, and you've done that. And it's like I don't know where you're at now, but I do know you've probably grown a lot, And I look forward to maybe the next time we work together pushing you.
Yeah, man, for sure, bro. I look forward to it too, man. And it's just something you got to go through as a human being, you know. It's not just as an actor, but yeah, there's just been things like on set, you know, like, and it's you know, without going into too much depth of it, it's just like you got to find things out about yourself, you know, in life and with your pursuits. And sometimes you might not be ready for that. Yeah. And sometimes it could be the most unfortunate circumstance, and you can let a whole bunch of people down, including yourself, you know, and that's tough. And it's something you got to live with, you know.
It's going to happen to everybody that does that.
It does. But often from those circumstances, you can come with ferocious, tenacious enthusiasm and education from the circumstance. And as long as you learn from it and you be a better person for whatever attributes that you're trying to go towards or whatever, it's just part of the journey. And it's just something that we have to go through, you know?
That's where you need to have controlled arrogance. That's what I was actually forgot I was going to say before. Like, controlled arrogance in certain situations is fantastic. It's like, are you telling me Tiger Woods was not arrogant when he was like putting from the rough or putting from like trying to get a shot, an impossible shot, and he did it because he was so fucking phenomenally fantastic? You telling me there wasn't a little bit of arrogance in his mindset there? You need some controlled arrogance. And that's why I feel like a lot of Australians are really good with, and particularly in the sporting realm.
Yeah.
I feel like we must be with our All Blacks and our rugby guys, right? You South Islanders are probably better than us Northerners, North Islanders with that stuff. But yeah, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, like, you know, like I've seen stuff from you to suggest to me as an artist, as an actor, you actually don't know how good you are. And I feel like you as a person too don't actually know how beautiful you are and how like much you have to offer. So you need to potentially like feel a little bit better about yourself and back yourself a bit more, if I could say anything.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's not offensive to you.
No.
And a little bit more controlled arrogance. Yeah. Why not? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And because I've seen stuff from you and like you've done great performances on our films together before, but I've seen stuff from you where we've pushed the limits, and I've seen little snippets of how good you can be, and you can get there. Like Talia is now. I mean, she must have like done so much, to get to where she is. Like, you don't get there without work.
No, you don't know. No, I think she started pretty early, but I think for me, it's like I get in my own way. You know,
me, yeah, a little
like
bit.
Way too much in my own way, in my own head.
I do that too.
Yeah, and it's something I'm going to have to consistently work on. And it's not just with acting; it's just with everyday life. You know, with everything that
you're a water sign, baby. You're emotional too.
I'm sensitive. You know I'm emotional. I'm in touch with all of those.
But those are good things. They're like an Achilles heel, and they're good too.
Yeah,
it's like everything's a yin and yang.
Yin and the yang, bro. That's why I got a tatted on my back, man.
It's like I'm an air sign. Yeah. Like I'm apparently intelligent and suave. I don't know if I'm suave. I'm looking like a fucking silverback gorilla over here. You know what I'm saying? But we've also been an air sign. You can be in the clouds, like a little bit too fucking.
Yeah, I've read some of the scripts.
And then, yeah.
But you got to indulge yourself, and then you bring it back.
And then fire signs, you know, a little bit too much fire is not good.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you so aggressive? And then earth signs can be a little bit self-loathing, you know, but they're earth, they're Mother Earth. Like my mother, she's a Virgo. So it's like, you know, as a water sign, you're emotional. I don't know your charts, but it is a thing, these things. And if you did your charts, you'd probably find that there's other stuff that could tell you about your personality. I should get my sister to do that for you, actually. She's really good, Samara. It'll tell you stuff about yourself that you can work on. But yeah, you got to concentrate on those strengths too, the yin and the yang. Concentrate on those strengths and be. It's like, you know, as an artist like us. It's like I've done a short film where it's been shit. Let's be honest. And people be like, oh, that's shit. I've done stuff that I think's good that people have said, shit. You know, and it's like, that's the little plasmatic membrane where you got to back yourself. It's like, well, does that person know what they're talking about? Probably not. Probably not. Like, if you think it's good and you've put your heart and soul into it and someone says it's shit, but you actually think it's pretty good, fuck them. Be arrogant in that moment.
Yeah.
Be arrogant, not to them. Don't say, fuck you. Don't do that. Be arrogant in your belief of yourself.
Yeah.
Controlled arrogance.
Stay within,
just be like, you know what? I don't believe them and I can't. But then in other situations, it's like, but even with that, like, look at the like negative and see if there's something that might touch on something you could work on. And then with the constructive criticism too, it's like, yeah, look at what you can work on. And you're always a work in progress, and that's the main thing. If you're the same person you were 5 years ago, you're not testing yourself. If you haven't failed in 5 years, you're not testing yourself.
No,
like you have to.
You're not reaching the limits within yourself. You're putting a parameter on yourself.
You're putting a parameter
which
on yourself.
You're not going to grow, and you're not going to become the best version of yourself.
100%.
Yeah.
Geez, you're wise. You've gotten a lot more wise too, bro. In the last few years, haven't you?
Comes with failure, man. Yeah, and just searching. Within yourself from things that have happened. Just life, bro. Like it's you can either let it beat you down, and like a metal malleable being, it shapes you
ductile
for what it is. Yeah, ductile. Yeah, it's just you sharpen your tool, you get better, you get more precise with what you're trying to do.
I want to see that tool, Daniel. Can you show me that tool?
Which movie is this going to be in? Do you remember when it used to be like everything that would come to your mind, you would make it happen in your movies, and often the time it would happen to me?
Yeah.
You remember that time you made me work out naked in that?
Yeah.
Which a film is going to be coming out soon, but
the homoeroticism of that film, which will come out, it's good, but it's also like a play on vanity, that film, and I reckon I can get a lot out of it. Like I've watched all the takes, and we've been through. That's another thing with editing. It's like I've been through that many permutations with going through stuff with editors and actually getting no result.
Yeah,
we did with Alpha. Shout out to the bro, but like so many of the short films I've had sitting on the shelf, it's gone from this editor to that editor to that editor. Nothing's been done. It just shows you how many people procrastinate.
Yeah, but they're just trying to do the main editorial cut.
Yeah, and it's like some of them didn't even do fuck all.
Yeah.
And it's like, I suppose it's like, when you're not paying big money, most people think of their time as valuable, which they need to. But that's what makes our quest so much more valuable, because let's be honest, as an artist, to start out, you have to work for love. You just have to. Like every actor in the world and every artist in the world, every filmmaker in the world started out their craft doing it for love, even being out of pocket for it. That's just the reality of it. And people these days, I see people on the chats being like, you're a fuckwit if you don't pay this, that, and the other. It's like, well, I don't know. Like sometimes you have to do the best with what you got, and that's what I've done thus far. And I'd love to pay everyone like more than what the standard rates are, but it's not always the case, is it? But yeah, what was I on about before then? I think I've gone tangentially. I was going to say something.
Yeah, you were talking about even I've lost it. Pardon my French.
Maybe it's the whiskey.
The editorial cut.
Yes, sorry, thank you. So you're the man, bro. You're a good listener. So I was like going through all this shit, and even like how tough it was going through Alpha, which can be a good thing sometimes if you butt heads with the editor. Shout out to Nicholas Andrew Halls. He did a great job on Alpha.
You put him through the ringer.
I did, and he put me. He did with me too.
Yeah, you just clashed, but good things come
I was putting him through the hours I work.
Yeah,
which is just insane.
Yeah.
Like you expect that from people, you can't expect that from everybody. Like I am insane, bro. with the amount of output, like time.
Dude, I remember the hours we used to spend 12 or 14 hours on set or whatever. And then we'd go back to your place and have a few beers and watch all the cuts and everything. And then be back up like 2 hours later to go shoot the next day or whatever. Yeah. Countless amount of times.
Oh yeah. That's me. Like I love my sleep. I love my sleep. And if I can get it, I'll get it. But if I have to like burn the candle at both ends, bro, I'm good at it. And I'm not saying I'm the most efficient person, because I'd like to be, and I'm working on that. But one thing you can guarantee with me is I'll put the time in, no matter what. And if I can get more efficient, then I'm going to be so dangerous. Like Jeff Bezos, watch out. You know what I'm saying?
Owning it, eh?
Yeah. So, and then that's something I'm working on. But yeah, in terms of like editing, it's like I've had so many issues, and I've got all these short films sitting on the shelf that I'm so keen to get edited after I edit this feature. One of which you were the lead in, which is great. And it's a great film. One of which I was the lead in, and I kill like 30 people in this. I'm like a gangster. Yeah. I'm like, everyone says I look like the Kiwi Vin Diesel in it.
You do. You do.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
So when I'm clean shaven, it is what it is. But yeah, like
that's where we went down. That's what we were talking about. We were talking about Agent 88 and your editing. Yeah. And then we went down.
Well, the thing is, like, these editors have just like, I've got nothing but problems. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to learn how to edit. And it's actually been a revelation. I'm so thankful for that, because editing is actually my next strongest suit next to writing, if not equal. Like, and it is like rewriting, but with the visual. And I absolutely fucking adore it. Like, there's no one that's ever going to edit my films apart from me moving forward, because I love it that much. It's like writing and editing and directing is me. Like, that's going to be me. And it's so good when you understand what you feel like is like what a project's essence is about, to be able to control that in the edit too.
Because you get a chance to reshape the film in an artistic notion.
Exactly. It's like a rewrite again, but visually.
Yeah.
And like you were saying
earlier.
I think
it's because you're so expressive as a writer, you know, like, and then you get to see it visually, and you're seeing it in a whole other realm, obviously, and everything else you've created in between with the different scenes and takes and everything like we've spoken about. Yeah.
You were saying earlier, like, you feel like, oh, fuck, I felt like I did better in that scene as an actor. See, me, if I've made a decision, I've gone through everything 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 times. So you can bet your bottom dollar I haven't skimped on that decision. It's a decision I've fucked with.
Yeah.
I've fucked with it. I was like, I've chosen that. And I'm like, okay, let's put in another take. Nah, don't like it. I like that one better. Put in another take. Nah, don't like that. Like that one better. Put another take. I like that one better. That's me. Like most of what I do is actually like not actually efficient in that sense.
Yeah.
But it is in terms of creatively.
Yeah.
Like I'm not just going for time, which is probably what a lot of editors might do.
Yeah, and in fact, since I've edited, on the clock, kind of.
And since I've edited now, I see, like, I watch stuff with the missus. I'm like, their editing is not great. They've probably been on a time constraint, which can also be a good thing, because you've got a deadline. You have to get shit done.
Yeah.
But with me, I'm more than content with like films in the future of mine to sit on the edit for at least a year if I have to. If I don't feel right, it's like, really do it properly. You know what I mean? And that's the same with my writing. You know, it's different on the day when you're shooting. It's like, well, you got to get shit done when you got to get shit done. And actors are never happy, like barely ever happy. Never. It's like, I feel like I could have done better. It's like, of course you did. You're an actor. If you didn't say that, I'd be worried. You know, like, are you happy with... Like, I've got a good relationship like that. It's like, are you happy with that take? Are you happy? Like, give me how many takes were you happy with?
Got something in that.
It's like, I was happy with 7 out of the 9 takes. How many are you happy with? I'm happy with 3, 4. Well, that's good. Okay, we'll move on. You know, it's like, if you listen to the whims of an actor, you'd be there all day on one fucking scene for 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, that's actually a beautiful thing. And that's where I come in, I suppose,
that's the love of the art.
As a leader.
Yeah.
And also, that thing, going back to jumping in the water, like, I wouldn't expect that of anyone. Like, you know, like, those are shark-infested waters there, bro.
Yeah, bull sharks.
People have died.
Yeah.
And we're chucking a like makeshift body out into the water, and I had to run swim and get it. There's no way I was ever going to ask anyone else to do that. But Andrew, Andrew, the way he thinks, God bless that guy, because he's one of the best actors I've ever worked with, and I mean that, Andrew. If you're listening to this, like he is absolutely fantastic. I know he's got like a few like little issues he's working out on the side in life, but most actors are like that. He's actually
it's most people, but
most people, most people, but he's like really raw with his acting. He's really raw with admitting to his faults. He's actually like probably mentally ahead of the game more than he gives himself credit for.
Yeah.
He's actually self-reflexive, which most people incorporate their nonsense and are absolute pieces of shit. Like, it's actually
justify it, yeah.
It's actually good, like, to be self-critiquing. And he's wonderful like that. But I've seen him, he's actually more comfortable when he's acting. Like if he's acting and he's got a role to sink his teeth into, he's more natural with the way he acts than he is even as in real life. He's more natural in the way he is as a person when he's doing that than he is when he's sitting static. That guy just needs to be busy with acting.
I just think it's something that he has control of.
Yeah.
Like it's more control of the character, like rather than himself, which can be sporadic, which makes him fantastic,
Makes him fantastic.
And the good people can vibe with him, like we get along great, and so many aspects. Yeah.
And seeing him like going through the permutations he does as an actor, as a performer, I'm so in awe of him. Like he really goes so deep, like, and he really gets there, like, and he's not afraid to fuck things up, which I love. It's like this takes, I'm just like, oh, and I'm honest about it, and he's cool. Like he's humble with that. He's humble if it's a fuck up.
He took a swing.
But he took a swing.
Yeah.
And then he might take like 10 swings and 4 of them are fantastic. And I'm like, now I've got a problem because I've got 4 of these ridiculously idiosyncratic moments that are just fantastic for character. And I got to choose one. 6 of them were shit, but 4 of them were fucking phenomenal. And he's not afraid to do that. So he should probably, like yourself, give into the fact that, like, have a little bit more controlled arrogance and be a little bit more aware of how beautiful you guys are.
Yeah, I think I can learn a thing or two from him in that regard.
Well, we can learn stuff of everybody, right? But yeah, in that regard, most definitely. Like, and like initially I wrote his role for Bo. Who's a fucking fantastic actor.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Like, isn't he? He's like a Heath Ledger.
He was so solid, bro, through Alpha. Like from that moment, you remember one of the first things, digging the hole to bury the body of Uncle Fabrizio. Like it was shot way out of sequence.
No, that was a different body.
Oh yeah, it was okay. But and I just remember seeing that. I'm like, and then throwing the body off the roof, that one. And then from everything else from there, I'm just like, oh, shit. I did not expect that at Bo, eh?
What a great scene that was. They were both great scenes. Like, I love that film.
Yeah.
And remind me before we finish this podcast to go through Alpha Masky and the situation with that.
Yeah.
In terms of distribution.
Well, let's
cover some other territory first.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to need to take a piss in a moment. We've already
me too
over 2 hours in, so let's get to that now.
We should go another half hour.
Well, let's get to that.
Up to you.
Let's get to that now. Let's do it. Yeah.
What was I quickly then? Let me address.
Okay.
Okay. So Bo, fantastic actor. He's got a Heath Ledger thing for me. Like he really does. And he's a wonderful dude. I love the guy. I love him as a person. I don't have to love the people that are on our films together, that we produce together. Like I don't have to love those people, but I love that guy. Like he's a wonderful dude. And I initially wrote Andrew's role for him. And Andrew ended up in the role. And now I'm just like, I just couldn't see how anyone else apart from Andrew could have done that role. And wait until you see the film. Because it doesn't matter necessarily how good Talia was. It doesn't necessarily matter how good Layla was in the 2 main roles, unless you got the antagonist performing at a high level. And let me say as well, Victor, who's now also my personal trainer and my dietitian, which he won't like the beers I consumed today, but he's on my ass.
And the whiskey. Shout out to Victor Fane.
I went from 128 kilos because I put on weight on purpose to play the role of Talia's character, Heidi's grandfather, Uncle Roggenbold.
Yeah.
And then through editing, I ballooned out to 134 kilos because I was drinking beer. And now I'm down to 116 and I'm going for 110 for my wedding, and I'm feeling good, but what was I going to go with that? Oh yeah, Victor's been a big help, and that guy is a fucking phenomenal actor. And he's probably like one of the best looking dudes I've ever seen in my life. So shout out to Victor.
Yeah, shout out, brother.
What a beautiful man.
He is.
Okay, so sorry about that.
Don't be sorry.
Distribution.
Yeah.
That's where you wanted to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alpha Mass G Distribution, because originally you had signed with.
Let's not say their name because I've well, you probably can, but let's not do it.
Originally,
I've signed a non-disclosure with them to get the film back.
Originally, you signed with a distribution company, and for a while there, they were promoting the film, and supposedly, well, they had it on platforms, right? Supposedly,
yeah. Allegedly,
yeah.
So I went to America, and it was like more of a hat in hand. I probably rigged too much of like first filmmakers' desperation, but I was being proactive, and I just I got what I thought was like cool people. I went to America. I sat down with these people. They seemed reciprocal. They fluffed my ego, something shocking, which is probably their thing. They were a lower level distributor. I actually did a podcast with my first film school teacher, Colin O'Merku, shout out, my Irish man there. He was saying he met them at a film market, and he said he wished I had have contacted him before signing with them. But you make a film and you just want to get it out there. But there's so many
riding that wave, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many sharks out there. But and it was fucked. Like I think they distributed it, but I never got any quarterly updates, which they were contractually obligated to do. Once again, not mentioning who they are, like not doing that, so I'm within my rights. Because I signed a non-disclosure to get the film back at the end of the day, that I wouldn't mention them in anything like this or, specific. So I'm not going to mention them because that's a deal we made. But if anyone were to call me and ask me, and they happen to randomly be hooked up with these people, I'd tell them not to do it behind closed doors. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But I went to America, and I thought it was fantastic. Like I signed a distribution deal for Alpha Masky, and they said they were going to get out there, which I think they did. And then also signed on to get them as a co-producer to produce The Last Witch. And they were saying we can get $12 million to make this film. I was saying, 12 would be, I reckon 12 would be great. 30 would be ideal.
Yeah.
I could probably do it for a couple for that. And you've read the script. I've been through a few more.
Special effects, a lot of stuff.
Visual effects.
Visual effects, sorry.
And
special, putting that out there again.
And special effects.
But yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
Sorry, let's just say both of those because it's true. So the elixir of signing with someone got the best of me, and I didn't get a lawyer, like a proper lawyer. Like I got my accountant to look at the contract, and I should have got lawyers, which I have now, who brokered the deal to get Alpha back, because I signed for 7 years, but it was like I had many grounds to pull the film from them because they weren't living up to their end of the deal, but it would have got ugly if they didn't play ball. So shout out to them, who shall remain nameless.
Yeah.
But then again, they were pieces of shit. And this is what my first film school teacher was saying. He got done the same way with his first featured film. And apparently what they do is they take a bunch of like these feature films, first time filmmakers, they throw them against the wall, and whichever one sticks, it's like, okay, well, we'll get that one. And then they'll fuck them over. So it's like, congratulations, you're good enough to swing in the big leagues. Then we're going to fuck you in the ass. And a lot of, and you gotta, like any filmmakers listen to this, you got to keep this in mind. Even give me a call or an email or whatever. I can save you so much time and anguish and money. But anyway, I would not change anything for the world, bro, because I've been through this and I've learned, and now I feel like I'm dangerous, bro. I'm so dangerous in a good way, not in like a serial killer way, but in a way I'm going to make a lot of money and make some waves happen in the film industry and in life.
Yeah.
Because I've learned so much. And long story short, they fucked me in the ass with distribution. I feel like they made money off my film, but I can't attest to that, how much or they definitely did. But they didn't provide me with quarterly updates, which you need. They didn't give me any money, which they should have. But I got two of the best lawyers on the Gold Coast, and they're actually at Movie World. So it's funny, I actually went through there in my Hilux and a singlet, just, Elvis was filming. Everyone's looking at me like, who's this guy? I went and met up with my lawyers, who are still my lawyers and will probably remain my lawyers moving forward. Shout out. I'm not going to mention them because I don't think they'd like that. But because they're very private guys. But anyway, they were the lawyers on all the Bond films in London, and now they've come back to Australia as of circa two years ago. And now they're working out a Movie World. Yeah. Two lovely Jewish dudes. And they got Alpha back for me. We put a case forward to say, you're not honoring your contract. So I've got Alpha back. And I want to fix up the sound. I don't think the sound's perfect. I want to fix up the color. I don't think the color's perfect in some cases. And I want to maybe shave a couple of beats in a couple of places, but nothing major.
Yeah.
I'm going to redistribute that. And I might even offer that as a package deal with Western Culture, but I'm not going to hold to that. It's like Western Culture can be its own thing, that can be its own thing, But see, the funny thing is I managed to nab fiscal sponsorship for Western Culture from the Heart Productions, shout out, an American body. This Irish-American lady that runs that, and she's fantastic. So she's going to hook me up with a couple of big meetings with big time distributors for Western Culture, bro. Like I'm talking with Alpha, I went with a lower level one thinking they might play ball. Yeah. And there's all these sharks in that world. See, now I'm skipping ahead to like the big boys. Yeah. She's hooking me up with like big level distributors. And put me in a room with them, bro. That's what I've always said,
That's all you need, man.
Put me in a room.
Toe on the door, bro, and you'll barge the rest of the way.
We're gonna be good. Yeah. We're gonna get distribution, and I'm gonna get a massive fucking budget for my next film. Yeah. So you can believe that, baby.
Yeah. Well, Alpha needs to be seen, bro. And it's like
I'm like that is a big thing for me too.
Yeah. It's a market, bro, right now. Like things are getting picked up. That wouldn't always get over the
Worst case scenario, it'll be on Netflix. Yeah. But I'm going to go through the other.
But some of those places are terrific for it, though, I feel like those places are screaming out for that kind of content.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get that distributed. Can you believe that, baby?
Yeah.
We're probably not going to get like the cinema release like we are with Western Culture, but it's going to get out there.
Yeah.
But anyway, Can we leave it there? Because I need to take a piss too.
Yeah, no, so do I. Well, just leave it with one thing, man. What would you say to people in this game, man, to actors, to filmmakers, to everyone doing their thing in this industry? What's something to leave them with?
Patience and persistence.
2 words. Patience and persistence. We'll give it 3, but 2 meaningful words, yeah. Just keep going. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Patience and persistence.
So you got to be consecutive. You got to keep showing up, and you just got to keep fighting the fight, right?
Back yourself.
Yeah.
Back yourself. Yeah. Put in the work. Put in the work. Read scripts. Even if you're not acting the scripts. Read scripts. Read them. Write scripts if you're a writer. Make films if you're a filmmaker. Even if it's shit. Even if it's a short film. Whatever. Just keep moving forward. Keep moving, and if you fail, don't get disheartened. Patience and persistence. Mistakes, yeah. Patience and persistence.
Yeah, that's it. Right, brother.
Are we leaving it there?
Yeah, we're leaving it there.
Beautiful, bro.
That's us. We're out. Cheers, Jeremy, for coming on, brother.
Thank you, brother.
J.R. Hill, one of the most fantastic filmmakers I've ever been on set with. Greatest writers I think I've ever read scripts of. It's not the whiskey talking. But you're fantastic, brother. And I just want to see you succeed, man. I love you too, bro. And I want you to keep doing your thing, man, because I know you're going to be successful, man. And everybody around you be successful for just being in your presence, man. You bring things out in people on set that are just a second to none, man. You bring the best out in people, man. And that's what a true leader is about, man. And that's why I love and respect you, brother.
Thank you, bro. And I want to see people succeed. And I want to see the best in people. And I also want to have sexual intercourse with Dan.
Just throwing it out
Just
there.
throwing it out there. All right. Thank you
That's us,
for the
guys.
hospitality, Dan.
We're
I
out.
appreciate it.
Woo! We did it. Well, we definitely got pretty well lubricated through that podcast. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it. We had a great time doing it. But I really do love talking to this guy. Respect him so much. He's a great leader. I've been part of a lot of films with him on the production side of things and acting as well. And just he's a true inspiration. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you'd like to follow us on Instagram, Going Deep with Dan Good, or subscribe, follow, whatever you can do for us on the YouTube channels, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the other platforms. If you'd like to follow my own personal account, Dan__good, or you'll find us on Facebook. All the links, every link to the episodes and all the social media platforms are all located under every one of these episodes. So go on there, get amongst it. Keep on working at what you're doing. Stay humble, stay focused, back yourself. That's the main thing. Right. Until next time, guys.